Nice to see you. Mr. Spizak, everyone. Hello, Kimberly. Nice to see you here. Just fine, thank you.
Good evening, Kimberly.
Hey,
Hi,
Mr.
Jill.
Buckle, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
Let's see, are we ready? Oh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting of the Wayne Westland Board of Education will now come to order. The date is January 11th, 7 p.m. This is a special meeting of the board, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Neal, will you kindly call the roll?
Yes, Ms. Hines.
Present.
Myself also present. Mr. Buckaloo.
Here.
Miss May.
Present, thank you.
Mr. Albrecht.
Present.
Dr. Weaver.
Here.
President Cox.
And I am here.
All present.
727.20 on this evening's agenda is the swearing in of new Board of Education members. Ladies and gentlemen, we would typically like to have a little bit more pomp and circumstance associated with the swearing in of board members, but we are, like all public education entities, adapting. So today there was a ceremony at the board office. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Dignan and his team so that we can view the swearing ins. Mr. Dignan?
Thank you, Mr. Cox. I'm going to ask people to be patient. Justin's going to bring it up right now, and we're going to play a short video. It should only be a couple minutes.
Have you arranged a brief monologues to keep us all occupied while
Yeah, I
you're
know.
doing this?
I have to get up and do my comedy act, I guess. Yeah, they're working on uploading there right now.
Okay.
We have 660 participants.
Well, that's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kind of stand by.
Here, it's going to come up right now.
Mr. Toko escaped. Oh, here he is. He's back.
We're keeping an eye on you, Mr. Toko.
Is it coming up?
She's going to transfer the file.
Yeah, just give us about one more minute and it should be
Yeah,
up there.
tell him that we understand. We understand. We're happy to have this. Today, Mr. Albrecht was sworn in, and his wife, Esther Albrecht, was there. Melody by her son Elijah, and Kimberly by her son Jordan. So. And Mr. Buckley, you got a fly on the wall up there or something?
Technology is not my friend, David. I'm playing with my computer where I'm almost on with you folks, and I'm looking at the iPad.
Oh, look, we've
I am
got,
on.
I hope you can see this.
Coming up right now. Thank you for everyone's patience.
Can you see it? There we go.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the member of the Board of Education of Wayne Westland Community Schools,
of the office of the member of the Board of Education of Wayne Westland Community Schools,
Wayne County, Michigan,
Wayne County, Michigan,
and according to the best of my ability.
and according to the best of my ability.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the member of the Board of Education of Wayne Westland Community Schools
of the office of the member of the Board of Education for the Wayne Westland Community Schools,
Wayne County,
Wayne County,
Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
Wayne County, Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of member of the Board of Education of Wayne Westland Community Schools, Wayne County, Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
of the office of member of the Board of Education of Wayne Westland Community Schools, Wayne County, Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done. Kimberly, you've got a great memory. I would have been lost about 3/4 of the way through that last thing. I don't know who those two giant men were holding the Bible for you, but holy cow. It was quite something. So congratulations and welcome. We're very fortunate to have you. The next item on our agenda, 728.20, is the election of officers of the Board of Education. Mr. Neal.
Yes, so I will announce the opening of nominations shortly. No motion is required. There's a few things I'll read for you here before we start. The nominations for each office will be conducted in the following order. First, the president, then the vice president, then the secretary, then the treasurer. The nominated candidate has the option to decline the nomination if they choose. There is no second required for the nomination, but it is not out of order to offer a second if you wish to signal your endorsement of a nominee. After each nomination, I will ask if there are any more nominations for that position. When it is apparent that no further nominations are forthcoming, I will announce the close of nominations for that position. At the close of nominations, a roll call vote will be taken. The summary of the vote for that position will be announced. After all 4 positions have been elected, I will announce the close of the nomination process, and return the chair to the president. I now have nominations open for president.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Sir.
I would like to nominate David Cox to serve as president for the 2021 school year.
I have a nomination for David Cox. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And lastly, are there any other nominations? At the close of nominations, I'll do a roll call vote, although I probably could do by acclamation, but we'll do a roll call vote regardless. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
myself also yes, and Mr. Albrecht,
Yes.
President Cox.
Yes.
7 in favor of. Mr. President is David Cox.
Thank you, everyone.
Next nomination is for vice president. Nominations are open.
Mr. Secretary, I would like to nominate Fred Weaver for the office of Vice President.
I have a nomination of Fred Weaver. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate myself, Melody Hines.
Melody, I have your nomination. Melody Hines. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? At the close of nominations for vice president, we'll vote first for the first nominated candidate, Fred Weaver. By roll call, I have President Cox. What is your vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
No.
Ms. May.
Yes.
That was a yes, I heard.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Albrecht
Yes.
and Dr. Weaver.
Yes.
I have 6 yay, 1 nay. We have Fred Weaver is the vice president. Close of nominations for vice president. Next, we have secretary for nomination.
I'd like to nominate Mark Neal.
Thank you. Mark Neal, I have. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Close of nominations. By roll call vote, Ms. Hines?
Yes.
I have a yes. Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
President Cox?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. I have a 7 yay. Mark Neal is the secretary. Next and last, I have nominations for treasurer. Nominations are open.
Who would like to nominate Ms. May for treasurer?
And that was a second from Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. May for treasurer. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? By roll call vote, Ms. Hines. This is for Ms. May.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
President Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. That's 7 yay. Ms. May is our treasurer. Nominations are closed for all positions, and I return the meeting back to our president, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Well done, and congratulations to all those that became officers of the board tonight. As you know, that in spite of the officership, we only each have 1 vote. So we'll move on now to citizens' comments, 729.20. This is the portion of the meeting where citizens can address the board on issues that appear on this evening's agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on the agenda items this evening? Please do so by raising your virtual hand. The administrator will see it and get the information to me.
Mr. Cox, we do have some hands up. First person
Okay.
in line is John Ross.
Thank you, John. Please begin.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Good evening, Wayne Westland School Board. My name is John Ross, and I am a teacher at Wayne Memorial High School. I'm speaking tonight asking that the board vote to delay a return to in-person instruction until such a time as all school staff seeking to be vaccinated for COVID-19 have that opportunity. I realize many students, parents, and even staff members are eager to return to some sense of normalcy. And unlike previous votes surrounding in-person versus virtual learning, this time we can see a light at the end of the tunnel, but we don't know how much farther that tunnel goes. According to a press release from the Wayne County Health Department, which Superintendent Dignan shared with all Wayne Westland staff, the county is still working through a backlog of vaccinating priority workers in Group 1A before getting to school staff as part of Group 1B. It goes on to share that Wayne County is only receiving approximately 10% of the vaccine doses it requests in an effort to keep up with demand. I am genuinely concerned that school staff may not be able to receive both doses of the vaccine prior to any of the dates that the board is voting on tonight, but understanding that the vote will be from those options, I would implore the board members to vote for the March return date and allow for the maximum amount of time for school staff members seeking the vaccine to have the opportunity to receive it before we return to face-to-face instruction. I am appreciative that the board has supported the safety of school staff in its previous decisions on this matter and ask that you vote accordingly again this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your comments. Next person, please.
Our next guest is labeled as John and Mel 15.
Okay, John and Mel 15, please begin and make sure to unmute your microphone.
Hi, my vote is for them to go back, honestly, as soon as they can. I have 2 kids that have ADHD and one who is in special education. 2 of them that have ADHD have a hard time focusing and paying attention. As much as I try to make them pay attention, it's very hard. Secondly, my daughter who has special needs, it's very hard for her to learn on her own, and me being with my limited resources and knowledge, she really needs that face-to-face connection and help. I feel like my kids are just struggling so hard that they really need to go back to school soon. Otherwise, I feel like they're not going to excel and be able to succeed in the next grade if they get to go to the next grade. I feel like this has really set them back in the progress they were making in face-to-face learning.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, ma'am.
Our next guest is labeled as Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper, you're now recognized by the board. Please begin. You have 3 minutes. And remember to unmute your microphone, please.
We want to mute it.
Mr. Cooper? Let's go on to someone else. Justin, we'll come back to Mr. Cooper.
Sure thing. Your next guest is Liz, first name only.
Liz, you're recognized. Please begin and remember to unmute your microphone.
Okay, I think I've unmuted it.
Yes, you did.
For the record, I'm Elizabeth Carlson, a 6th grade teacher at Stevenson Middle School, and I live in Wayne County. And as much as I do want to see my kids back in the classroom, I do not want to swap out 4 days a week of instruction for 2 days a week. Virtually, I see my kids 4 days a week for instruction, and they have 1 day asynchronous. When we move to hybrid, I'm going to see my students 2 days a week for instruction, and 3 days they will have asynchronous. This is not equivalent. They are going to get half the amount of instruction. I'm also committed to the science and the numbers, and Wayne Westland Community School District is yes in Wayne County, and like myself, many of the staff are Wayne County residents. As explained by the governor, Wayne County is blessed with a multitude of healthcare facilities, but that also requires many more A1 doses. Several districts have begun vaccination cycle 1B, as we know, but it will be weeks before Wayne is afforded the protection of this vaccine, and we have many vulnerable populations in our district. It's easy to look at the surrounding districts and think, hey, we're safe like them, but we are not like them. The vaccine is in sight, and when vaccinated, I feel we can return safely to the classroom. So I just ask that you base your vote tonight on the hours of instructional time the students will be receiving, the science, the numbers, the community at large, and the availability of these vaccines for our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Next speaker, please.
Our next guest is only listed as Galaxy S8.
Okay, please begin. Please state your name and remember to unmute your microphone. Person with Galaxy 68, please begin unmute your microphone and state your name, please. Justin, let's move on to the next speaker. We can come back.
Eric Rose.
Eric Rose, you're now
Good evening, board.
recognized.
Can you hear
3
me?
minutes. Yes, we can.
Very good. Thank you so much. Board, my name is Eric Rose. My daughter is a 3rd grader. And again, I wrote you all an email. And thank you so much for Mr. Buckley and Mrs. Hines for responding to the following. Let me first say I'm grateful for all of our teachers and our principal who have done an amazing job during this time. Since March, our kids have endured isolation and learning from home. It has not been a great or uplifting experience for many of our kids. I know earlier in the pandemic, decisions were made to ensure that families and students were safe. Now that we're aware of this pandemic a little bit more and the impact on individuals, we need to take the necessary steps. So my question is for you, what criteria or benchmarks prioritizing for students to return to school does our district currently have? We have no benchmarks. We have no criteria. We can look at the state's criteria and it says flat or declining trend. Are those qualifiable words? They are not qualifiable words. It's like me saying to an employee, you need to do better. And I don't explain what do better means. What does that mean? I know you want to put children first, and I have utmost respect with regards to our staff and our teachers. However, Dr. Fauci said it very clearly to a local news station, and I quote, to the best of our capacity, we need to try to keep the children in school and get them back into school. There is no viable evidence that I have seen that transmission of children has led to amount of deaths with COVID-19. If you have those statistics, we'd love to hear them. Again, I think it is somewhat ironic to discern what is best for our kids without any sort of foundational district-wide criteria that says what does it mean for us to reopen based upon transmission, death cases, and local hospitalizations. Again, I appreciate all of our teachers and I want them to be safe. However, when we put kids first, we can also do that. So I respect that some families have various health situations in their home and do not feel comfortable returning students to in-person learning, and staff. Allow these children and or staff to stay home and receive that instruction. And please allow families to risk assess for themselves. Please do not do it for us. Again, thank you so much for your time, board. May God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Next speaker, please, Justin.
Janine Owen.
Okay, begin. Please remember to unmute your microphone and state your name.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hi, I am an instructional coach at Walker Winter Elementary. I want to start out by thanking Mr. Dignan and the Wayne Wesleyan Board of Education for choosing safety first for the employees, students, and families of our district community.
Can we ask your name, please?
Janine Owen.
Thank you.
I have been so proud to work for a district that has offered consistent 5 days a week education to all of our students, albeit virtually, since school began. Our students and staff have not had to face interruptions of learning or constant changes of mode of delivery like neighboring districts have. You have made your decisions based on current trends and available advice from county and state health officials in the past, and I ask you to continue to do so now. Additionally, please consider that paid sick leave under the CARES Act expired on December 31st, 2020. As a result, all employees in our community now face the hard decision of whether to go to work and earn money to pay rent and buy food, or to quarantine if they've been exposed. Many families put in this position will feel forced to work and send their children to school. Wayne Wesleyan employees may need to make this decision themselves. I implore you to please not put any of us in this position. The catastrophic result of spreading coronavirus to our staff, students, parents, and grandparents of our community when the vaccine is so close would be heartbreaking. Please vote for a return date of March 1st. This allows our entire community to be safer now, while still giving parents hope that this time of virtual learning is coming to an end. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Nolan. Next speaker.
Ashley Staffy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ashley, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Staffy. I currently have a first grader that attends John Hicks Elementary School. He is in the self-containment classroom with Mrs. Dieter. He is a special needs student. Pertaining to returning to school, I'd really appreciate if the school board would vote in favor of returning as soon as possible. With a self-contained classroom, they only have 4 students ranging from kindergarten to 2nd grade. And he really needs that one-on-one attention that he would receive in the classroom compared to online. It's very hard for him to focus. And then on top of that, half the time the classroom does not work, from switching from science to math to English to any other activities that they may have. They have to also incorporate first grade classrooms, and sometimes the classrooms do not work. So he is not getting the actual instruction time that he deserves and needs. He's actually failing the reading portion because he is behind, and he cannot receive that one-on-one attention that he would need for tutoring due to the stay at home and everything online. So I vote that we return as soon as possible, and I appreciate you guys for listening.
Thank you, Ashley. Next speaker, please, Justin.
Bill Kane.
Mr. Kane, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to vote no on the kids going back to school because I don't feel that it is feasible at this time for them to go back and be safe.
Does that conclude your comments, Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Justin, next speaker, please.
Our next guest is only listed as Zoom video.
Okay, please begin and state your name. Remember to unmute your microphone. Let's move on to the next one, Justin, to see if we can't come back.
Here. Hello.
Hello, yeah, we can hear you. State
Okay.
your name, please.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. Tyson Knopfsinger.
Yes, Tyson, please begin.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for everyone who's working so hard for our students. The efforts the staff is putting in, just our thanks and our appreciation for that cannot be understated. We really do have a team of rock stars here in Wayne Westland. Coming out of the Christmas break, it was particularly hard for our family. We have 3 kids in the Wayne Westland district, and all of them got to sit around and hear from their cousins who live in 3 different states and have been allowed to go to school without all of this and play sports without masks. And for them, they just don't understand the dynamics, and so it's really hard. And just a few brief realities and stats I think that I'd love for us to consider tonight and moving forward. The reality is, as some have mentioned, that the current setup, kids are suffering from record levels of anxiety and depression. There are families that we know in this community who have lost their jobs, even just because they had to get their kids started for a test and their employer didn't have any grace, that they were a couple minutes behind. We've seen that happening. There's reports that tens of thousands of students are missing from the virtual environment. I did some more research today. There's 39 states who are fully open. 11 are partially closed, including Michigan. According to the World Health Organization, the most who get the virus have mild to no symptoms. Right now, 0.01% of people are dying, and I have a ton of compassion for those families, as I do for anybody who lost a loved one. Doctors are now saying that treatment is improved to the point where those in the vulnerable categories are experiencing less symptoms and better recovery. And stats given by the MDHHS in the last couple of days too, that showed that school and sports aren't contributing to the spread of the virus. And other stats show us that the flu is 5 times more likely to take the life of a student than COVID-19. And so while fear says that we aren't safe, the data says that we are. And so I'd like us to consider, and this is a hard question, at what point are we going to use the data instead of relying on our feelings to determine what's best for our kids and families? And when will we determine benchmarks to figure that out? And I guess just concluding thoughts, as some others have said, I think that I can't imagine my kids going from 5 days or 4, whatever it is now, to 3 days of education in a hybrid environment. I think the reality is for most kids, they're going to be playing video games those 2 other days, while kids in other districts are getting 5 days of education. And I think that's going to put kids in Wayne Westland at a competitive disadvantage, not only now, but for their future. And so I guess if I had my vote, I'd say let's wait till we can go 5 days. And I love the staff, I love the teachers, even if that means we put aside our preferences in order to allow them to get vaccinated first, if that makes them more comfortable. But just thank you for your time, for giving us a voice, and we're praying for you as you make these decisions. We know that they aren't easy.
Thank you so much for those comments. Justin?
Our next guest is Alicia, first name only.
Good evening, Alicia. You have 3 minutes. Will you please state your full name?
Hello, my name is Alicia Duncan. My son, he currently attends the Hoover Elementary. He is a special needs child. He has attention deficit, and he also was recently diagnosed with autism. I think it's best that we realize that we have to start somewhere. We can, whether there's a vaccination or not, there's no guarantee whether that's going to work. There's no guarantee if everybody's going to comply and get vaccinated. I hate to see that we start off March 1st while there's other schools competing with trying to transition back into a school system in person. I think it's kind of best that we, start somewhere, and either it's gradually or is, the kids return back to school in person. We have to start practicing with our children and teachers, and getting them in line with following, social distancing, wearing their masks. People go to the grocery store and they take their kids to the grocery store. They go to different places out in public. We're no longer considering a state of emergency. Things are starting to open up gradually. So I just believe that it's important that, kids receive some type of in-person learning. The virtual is very difficult. My son has received assistance at Champions. I'm grateful for that because he is in some type of school environment, but it's kind of hard, with other parents and other people. And I understand the positions of the teachers, but there's no way possible that everybody's going to get vaccinated by March 1st. So you have to realize the time frame. Is it possible? Maybe, but we have to look at society and how the whole world is trying to compete with getting vaccinated. But we have to look at it. We have to start somewhere. And I think it's starting at least with in person, because by March 1st, it'll basically a year that our kids have not been in school.
Thank you, Alicia. Justin, next speaker.
Our next guest is only listed as Demetria.
Demetria, you have 3 minutes. Please begin and please state your name. Remember to unmute your microphone.
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Hi, so my name is Demetria. I actually have 3 students in Wayne Westland. I have one in elementary, one in middle school, and one in the high school. My vote is for them not to return to school at all throughout the rest of this year, and try to go back in person when school resumes after summer. I understand that some parents want their kids back in school. I understand that the virtual is hard. I understand that kids want to get back into some type of normalcy. But I feel for the safety of my children, I want to make the decision for them to stay at home where I know they're safe. I don't know how the school's going to handle everything and if they'll be safe there. So I would rather them be at home. And that's my vote.
Thank you very much. Justin, next speaker, please.
I apologize if I mispronounce this one. Sharhanda Hall.
Sharhanda, you have 3 minutes.
Yes. I feel we should get more time with the students being at home. I have 3 children, elementary, middle, and high school, and 2 of them are special needs, and they're in middle and high school. but they are doing really well in school. The grades, has gotten like a little better. Their focus. I like the way that the teachers are teaching. And also, two of my students are asthmatic. And one of them, I don't really take them out the house as much because her keeping a mask on her face and covering it up it messes with her breathing. And I'm scared for her to be in school around other children. And she has these issues. I've also had family members whose children has caught COVID-19 due to family members coming around or parents going to work and they're coming home and transmitting it to their kids and kids passing it, to other kids. I had a few family members pass away, children as well. And I'm just not sure if it's safe. I'm also a student at Schoolcraft College, and we're also on remote learning, and they don't even want us to come back yet. So I know that if they don't want us to, return back to school, that it might not be safe for the children also.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break now to read to you part of our board policy talking about citizens' comments. First, I'd like to say that the comments that you are hearing in every single opinion is a considered opinion, and every single person is making a valid argument. These are the same arguments that we've heard several times before over the last 8 months. This is one of those issues when everybody's point of view is right. It's just a difficult time. There is no clear path that the school district can go in. We have to make a decision. Now, our policy values, our board values public participation and recognizes that it's an important part of the decision-making process. We typically limit speaking on these issues to 30 minutes at the beginning of the agenda and 30 minutes at the end of the agenda. I have received, I don't know how many dozens of emails, many of them just exceptionally well written, most of them that describes in perfect detail the breadth of what we're dealing with and the choices and the impacts that it has, not only on teachers and children, but on the families of teachers and children. And it seems as though everybody's opinion, even though people want different outcomes, are valid. And this is something, quite frankly, the board knows this. The board has been dealing with this right where the rubber hits the road since the beginning of this pandemic. And every issue brings with it numerous other issues. So at this point, I'm ready to hear what Mr. Dignan has to say regarding our return. I'm also happy if the board wishes to listen to anybody that wants to talk. As you can see, everybody's basically saying the same thing. We know the argument. So the chair is going to entertain a motion if anybody wants to make a motion that we move on to the rest of the agenda. Is there such a motion? Okay, very good. We'll continue with citizens' comments. Mr. Monty?
So moved, Mr. President.
Is there a second to the motion? Okay, we'll move on with citizens' comments. Mr. Monty?
Darcy Young.
Hi,
Michelle?
how are you?
Just fine, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm a grandparent. We are raising 6 students. We have 1 in each level of the schools. I have 4 ADHD. I have 2 special needs. I have 1 that's autistic. I get it. I get that it's hard for them to focus and whatnot, but I dedicate my time to make sure each one of them are getting the best that they can get. We have some wonderful teachers. I could not do it without them. I know my kids are going to be really upset, but I vote they do not return back to school. I've got 3 of the kids who have lost a parent to COVID, so it hits very personal to our home. And just saying the word just brings fright to us. And I have compromised health system, and so does my husband. So if the kids go to school and are out in the public and then they bring it back home, the other kids may catch it, me and my husband may catch it, then what happens? We've already lost one of the parents to COVID, then what happens? So at this time, I understand it's an inconvenience to people to be home doing what they have to do because they have to function with life, but we make it work, we make it happen. And I would like to vote no return back at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Young. Justin?
Barb, first name only.
Barb, you have 3 minutes. Please state your full name and remember to turn your microphone on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Barbara Murray. I have a student that is in Stevenson, and she just finished up her first semester with virtual through Stevenson. And I'm actually transitioning her back to you guys because the virtual is not working for her. The teachers don't reach out to her like you guys would. I do not want to see them go back to school yet because yes, I don't think it's unsafe. And with this vaccination, are you guys going to make this as one of the vaccinations that the kids are going to have to return school? Because I'm out of not having my student get it at all because I've heard so many side effects from my family members getting it because they have to because they work in the nursing field.
Yeah, the vaccines are typically I wouldn't respond, Barb, but no, the school district has no interest in mandating vaccinations for COVID.
Okay. And then my thing is, this is going to be her first year taking a bus. How are they going to make it safe for the kids on the bus with them all having to sit at least 2 kids in a seat?
Yeah. Right.
So,
these are all issues.
So that's my concern. I would love to see her go back to school because one, she's driving me crazy.
She's
Being
supposed
home
to
all
drive
day
you
and I work, but the kids do need some socialize out of their home. They're in their home 24/7. Their attitudes change being in their home. It's better for them to leave and come back, even if it's 2 days a week. I just want to, I don't think it's safe for them all to go back all at once. I get the special needs. I have a special needs nephew that his district, he goes 2 days a week, which he needs it. I totally get it. And I get that some parents don't want it. Some families got COVID. My mom just got COVID over Thanksgiving break. So it is scary. But yeah, I'd rather see them wait or do it halfway. Sorry.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Next speaker.
Mickey Shipley.
Mickey, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hello, all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. I have 2 students that are at John Glenn. I don't feel that the virtual learning is going well for a lot of the high schoolers. Most of them are trying to listen to teachers on a laptop and sneak video games on the other side of the room. I honestly feel that the kids and the parents should be able to make the choice on whether we want to send our kids to school or not. They can do virtual classrooms, have a webcam in the teachers' classrooms for the students that need to stay home that have health issues. But I feel as a parent of 2 boys that are having a very hard time with this virtual learning, regardless, I can't be in 2 places at once to help them understand what the teachers are saying or trying to teach them. Or they feel that they've got 3 days worth of homework to do in one day. It's too much. They need that one-on-one teacher experience that the kids have always had. I appreciate everything that all of you guys do, and I appreciate your time. I vote for the kids to go back as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin?
Kelsey Davis.
Davis, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hi. What are you doing? So I have 2 kids that attend. One attends Roosevelt, the other attends Stottlemyre. My oldest has ADD, ADHD, and ODD, along with some speech issues. He is not doing well in this virtual program at all. My preschooler, of course, he cannot pay attention or sit down for it. They all have different break times. I also have nieces and nephews that come over to do their schooling. I am a single parent of 3. So I also have a 2-year-old running around, and they all get distracted. None of them can pay attention. The teachers refuse to slow down for them, even if they are trying their best to actually pay attention and do what they're told. My oldest is lacking in his reading. He's lacking with recognizing words. He is supposed to be starting an IEP, but we can't even get people to start that for him because no one's in school. He has asked me multiple times, Mom, can I please go back to school? Mom, can I go back, please? And I have to explain to him that he can't because of this virus, which I work in the medical field as a medical assistant at one of the biggest facilities in our region. And many of these doctors have even told us it's not as bad as it seems. Treatments are doing better. And a lot of people that get symptoms, especially children, it's mild or they're asymptomatic. So I am voting for these kids to go back as soon as possible. I am one person. It is very hard to try and bounce around all these kids and try and get them to do their homework. I am at work before he starts. I get home after he ends with maybe 2 hours before they go to bed. I understand with these people that want to keep their kids home. That is your choice. There is a program for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin?
DeAndrea, first name only.
Andrea, you were recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name.
Okay, hi, I'm DeAndrea Armstead. I have 3 children that is enrolled in Wayne Westland School District. My 6th grader, she just started this year. She's normally a straight A student. She's doing horrible with D's and E's, and it is saddening me because she's having a hard time. She already has voiced to me that she could not retain the information and she has a hard time understanding what is going on. I also have a kindergartner at TAF and she is uninterested, unfocused. She cannot pay attention on the computer at all. My 2nd grader, I just feel like he is getting passed by watching videos that he do not understand. He's not retaining the information. He's just watching these videos and then they take a test and he's lost. He does not know what is going on. He also has an IEP with speech. The speech teacher does an excellent job online, but everything else is just horrible. I feel so bad for my 6th grader because she's normally excelling above grade level. I check her grades on Parent Connection, D's and E's. She never has received D's and E's ever. And it saddens me. I think the kids should go to school, at least hybrid. We can just get them out so they're in person. Like my kindergartner, she would have to be repeating kindergartner because she's not retaining anything, nothing. She watched these videos and I asked her what the video taught her. She doesn't know. She's just like, what is this? So I just think that they should go back to school, at least the hybrid, at least get them out so that they can be back in person and getting that extra help that they need where they can raise their hand and talk to the teacher. My daughter, she got kicked off her test today. No way to tell the teacher because the teacher can't hear her online. She's trying to tell her, I got kicked off my test. The teacher looking, but she can't hear her. So she just missed out on her test today. They should go back to school. That's it.
Thank you, Andrew. Next speaker, Justin.
Maria Wohlers.
Hi,
Maria,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. One, I want to say, the teachers that my school or that my children attend are amazing. I think they're great to reach out to. They're doing a great job. All 4 of us in the house have actually had COVID. Luckily, none of us had to have any outside treatment, which is great. I do believe in in-school learning. I think it's a great tool. However, I'm uncomfortable sending my kids back, even though they do need in-person learning. All 4 of us actually had COVID. And I'm just uncomfortable with the fact that of returning to school, just for the safety of the kids. It is difficult. I have one child that she's excelling. She's doing wonderful at this. And then one that completely is just unfocused and can't seem to get it together. So I'm kind of in school and then kind of out school, but I really think that the kids should not return for the fact of the safety of my kids. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Justin, next speaker.
Jennifer Diedrichs.
Jennifer, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
I was like this. Hi. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I understand. I feel so bad for all these parents with special need kids. My son did the Edgenuity for the first semester. It was horrible. I have a middle schooler and a high schooler, and I know they miss their friends. My daughter's a senior. I know they want to go back to school, but it's not just about the kids. It's about the teachers and the janitors and the bus drivers and the secretaries. Kids can get it. It might not be as bad, but what happens if a teacher gets it? We already have such a short, we have so many, we don't have enough substitute teachers sometimes just when teachers get the flu or get a cold. What would we do if these teachers all got sick or brought it home to their kids if our students were sick? We can't get kids to, in high school, to take a hoodie off. I think this is the same thing I said the last meeting. My daughter comes home and says kids are disrespectful to teachers. They won't take their hoodie off in class. How are we going to get them to wear a mask? How do we get high schoolers and middle schoolers to social distance going to school 5 days a week? The schools are packed. Stevenson and Franklin and Adams all just added 6th grade. So I'm just concerned. I think that as much as I want them to go back, I think the smart thing would be to wait till March 1st, because I feel that at least give these teachers, if they want the vaccination, to get it. And that's all I have to say. I'm not thinking about just my children. I'm thinking about the teachers and the bus drivers and the janitors and the secretaries and the lunch ladies and the helpers at the school and everybody, not just my kids. So that was just what I wanted to get my point across, was it's not just about our children need an education, but we have to think of everybody else in the building too. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, Justin.
Chris Gerbert.
Chris, you have 3 minutes.
Done being mad at me now.
I just wanted to say my son has autism and ADHD. He was able to go into the school 2 days a week until they closed just before Thanksgiving. Now, in that time period, he was excelling. He was doing wonderful. He wanted to go. You guys shut it down, which I understand. I fully support it. But now he doesn't even want to get back onto the computer. It is a fight daily. Today, he needed to go to the bathroom. His teacher has asked the kids to use sign language so that way she can acknowledge them and give them permission to go. She didn't happen to see it, which I understand, but he ended up wetting himself because she didn't acknowledge him, which then proceeded to ruin the rest of his day. Now, I understand that the staff need to be vaccinated, but the special needs kids have suffered greatly because of all of this. My son won't be able to be held back anymore because we did 2 years extra at Stottlemyre. He is so far behind, he only knows 19 letters of the alphabet. He cannot read. He can write his name, but he cannot tell you all the letters in his name. They need to go back as soon as possible. They can't continue to be out. If you guys wait until March 1st, they will be out of school for a year. There's no way after him being out for a year, he's going to succeed in any other grade beyond this.
Does that conclude your comments, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate them. Justin, next speaker.
Nakia D.
Kita, you're recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name and make sure to turn your microphone on.
Hello, my name is Nakia Durrett. I have a 3rd grader and a 6th grader. My 6th grader has ADHD, so he is in the special education program. He's doing okay, but there is still struggles. He really wants to go back to school. There's different challenges with that as well. My 3rd grader is having a rough time. Right now, I have not been at work trying to put a lot of time with my children. I'm not one of the parents that's just trying to just throw them off, so I don't have to deal with it. I still put in time with my children as well, like the teachers will have to do at school. My concern is, I know a lot of parents were saying that They're concerned about the children and them catching it and everything. But the thing is this, there's nowhere in Michigan where you cannot wear a mask. It will be the same way with them in school. They have to wear a mask. Also, I know I heard a lot of things about teachers getting vaccinated. If that's what they want to do, I also I agree with that too, if that's what they want to do. But the thing is with this too, if we're worried about the teachers, we also have to worry about this. What if they do get the COVID vaccine and they end up being one of the ones that have the different issues from the vaccine? So that's like the same thing as them having the flu or something and have to be out. It's the same thing. So it's kind of like a whole situation that we really have to look at. But I vote for the kids to go back to school as soon as they can. Just like a lot of things in Michigan is getting ready to open back up. They're in the process of that now. I feel like the kids will be okay in school. So yeah, it's a lot more, but I know I have 3 minutes, but I vote for them to go back to school as soon as possible.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
Dr. Weaver?
At this time, I would like us to consider again to move forward into our board meeting. I respect every parent that is called and what they have had to say.
Dr. Weaver asks that we suspend citizens' comments at this portion. Citizens' comments has now lasted an hour. Is there a second? Okay, Justin, we're going to, next speaker, please.
Next speaker will be Tiffany Lamarand.
Tiffany, please remember to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to just say that I am a mom of 3 kids. I have a second grader, a freshman, and a senior. And my freshman has been in accelerated classes ever since second grade. And I can tell you that she's failing. She now suffers from depression. She feels completely isolated. My senior was doing the actual online schooling, Ingenuity, which is terrible. He's been lost this entire time. My youngest, she's okay because she's, doing the champions. And I hear a lot of people say that they don't want to go back. That's why there's online schooling as an option. Ingenuity is a thing that you can enroll in within this week. And it is about the kids. People tend to forget that. I have kids that are now suffering from depression, which has never been an issue. My daughter was a shining star in her school, and now she is D's and E's, and it saddens me. And not only that, she also feels like she's not being heard as a student. She feels left behind. They just continue on with no instructions. And on top of that, she's only doing 3 classes a day. So take that into consideration. You have a high school student who's doing 3 classes a day. So she's doing first, second, third hour, fourth, fifth, sixth, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, with the rest day in between. They're not getting the education that they need, especially in high school. It's mandatory to wear a mask. You see a kid without a mask, send them home. It's really simple. You can mandate that. So my vote is to send them back. And if that is uncomfortable for people, there is other options. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, next speaker, please.
Melinda, first name only.
Melinda, you have 3 minutes. Please state your full name.
Hello?
Hello, Melinda. You have 3 minutes. Please state your full name. Justin, let's move on. We'll come back.
The Wells family.
Wells family, you're recognized for 3 minutes. Whoever is speaking, please state your full name.
Hi, my name is Cody Wells. I have 4 students in the district. I just want to state that I think our students need those teachers to be safe. That's the problem. If they're not vaccinated, something happens to one of them, think of the morning that, you know, now our students are going to have to go through. I say we continue virtual learning. They dislike me for that decision, but our staff needs to be number one here. Our students are learning. They get Wednesdays for Wellness Wednesdays. For homework help, they get extra hour before class each day if they're struggling or falling behind. I'm listening to all the parents. I believe everyone is spot on, like you said, Mr. Cox. Nobody is wrong here, but we have to consider everybody, and our staff. Staff is very important, in my opinion.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Weeks.
Hello?
Can we go back to Melinda?
Yes, hello, Melinda.
Can
You have
hear
3
me?
minutes. Please state your full name.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, cool. Okay, sorry, struggling. It's Melinda Harris.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to say first, I'm very sorry about all the people that lost loved ones. I actually lost my second mom, who used to babysit me as a child right over here in Westland. Her husband was asymptomatic, and then she caught it, and it's just been really a sad situation, and we're grieving over that. But I understand what the other parents are saying about wanting the kids to go back to school. I'm very flexible, hybrid, full time, whatever you want to do. I also think it's our constitutional right whether we get vaccines or not. So I agree that we should stick to people's rights. I did have to put my 6-year-old in the champion program, which is costing me money, which I can't afford. It's been an excellent program. They're helping the kids with the schoolwork. They're great people. I think the kids with asthma and allergies and breathing problems, the masks should be exempt. I can only tell you many people in my neighborhood have had the COVID. They're bouncing back from it. I've been told by the doctors the children are very resilient. It's very rare for them to get it. I'm sorry for people that are saying that, hey, they have lost children, but it's extremely rare. My son doesn't do well on the computer at home. I put him back in kindergarten because of this whole COVID thing. The schools are being closed. The teachers are doing a great job. Miss Craig, all the others. Miss Swanson is doing an excellent over and beyond job. Best principal I've ever met in my life. Now my son's getting hooked on YouTube that he learned from the Chromebook. The 2-year-old baby's getting hooked on it. I'm not happy with that. The people that do not want to go back to school, let's make options for them. Online homeschooling, if they don't like the Ingenuity program, let's make it easy for them. But the kids need to go back. I suggest maybe February to give the school time to get ready so it's not stressful for them. And I think that's about it. And as far as the asthma goes, that kind of concerns me too, because my son has allergies, but maybe people can get a doctor's note. And I think I covered it all.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker, Justin.
Mr. President, if I may.
Mr. Neal.
I see that we have about 40 people with their hands up still. That would be another 2 hours of comment if they all use 3 minutes. I think it probably is time that we move on with the rest of the agenda, if we could.
Motion by Neal to suspend citizens' comments portion and move into the agenda. Is there support?
Second.
Support by Weaver. Is there discussion? Mr. Albrecht, you have to turn your microphone on.
Yep, I hadn't said anything before, and I certainly will go along with the majority because that's how we operate. Nonetheless, we're in a time, I think, in our community, in our country, where giving people an opportunity to speak, or at least to be able to say, thank you for giving me the opportunity, is important. So I won't support this motion.
Thank you, John. Is there further discussion? Call a roll call vote, Mr. Neal, please.
Yes, I have myself first. I say yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
No.
Miss May,
Couldn't hear you, Kimberly.
No.
Mr. Albrecht,
No.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Miss Hines,
No.
President Cox.
Yes,
Motion fails 4-3.
thank you. Mr. Monnet, next speaker, please.
I apologize if I mispronounced this one. Lakita Grady.
Ms. Grady, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Can you
Ms.
hear me?
Grady, there you go. We
Can you hear
got
me?
you. Yes, we can.
Okay. So good evening. I
evening.
wanted to just talk really quickly because I believe I have a unique perspective, because not only am I a staff member, a teacher at John Glenn, I'm also a parent of 3 students in the district. And I respect all of the input and everything that was stated before. I'm sorry for all the families that have lost loved ones due to this outbreak. But I vote for us to stay and remain virtual. And that's simply because not only do we need to look at the impact that it can have on our students, and I understand what the data states and all of that, but you can find data to say whatever you want it to say. I can also find data that states that it is deadly for children, that it's not good for children to return back to school. It's just what you are looking for. So I think we have to consider our staff members, not just because I am a staff member, but when I think about my children are remaining home. My children do not go out to the stores. They do not go out to do anything. They are in the homes. I have 2 students that are athletes, so they participate in multiple sports, and they are struggling with it, but they understand the consequences and the significance behind why they have to do what they have to do. And it's not something that's just, oh, Wayne Westland schools are the only schools that are being punished. This is something that is impacting the entire world. And as a district, we need to come together and look at this opportunity not as a negative, but as an opportunity for us to grow and to evolve our school district into a truly 21st century district. Myself, I'm a staff member that also suffers from asthma. And so when I think about that I may have to go into the school, what I may be exposed to, what I may bring back home to my husband, to my other family members, and I get that it may not impact the students, but it could impact us in a negative way. Like they stated, a lot of children are asymptomatic. That's fine. But what if they come in and they spread it to other students that are not? So I took a poll of my students today. Most of my students, it was kind of 50-50. I've talked to some parents about it. And I can tell you that there are some things that I've struggled with as an educator online, but there are some positives to this situation as well. With working with my coworkers and coming up with innovative ideas to present the material to the students, different ways to engage them, and the students love it. I believe we need to change our perspective and how we're looking at this. We're looking at it as, oh, it's such a negative, instead of looking at the positive things that are coming out of it. I have students that are 9th graders that are dealing with tackling technical issues, learning how to use the different software that are on the computer systems. So we're preparing them to truly go into the workforce and secondary education, if that's what they choose upon graduation. So I think we need to change our perspective as a society, as well as a district, and how we're looking at it and how we tackle this whole thing. There's not going to be a one answer for everyone, okay? But we need to do what's in the best interest for all of our students and our staff.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Justin, our next speaker, please.
Richard, first name only.
Richard, you're recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name. Have you turned your microphone on? Richard, you have 3 minutes. Have you turned your microphone on?
His microphone does appear to be on, Mr. Cox.
Okay, let's move on to the next speaker then.
Mr.
Maybe you had to
Cooper.
walk- Mr.
Good
Cooper?
evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience. Good evening, Mr. Dignan, President Cox, and Board of Education. I'm a biology and accelerated biology teacher at John Glenn High School. I have to talk to someone. They keep sticking me with the best kids in the school every hour this year again. Seriously, though, I'm here tonight to speak about considerations about the options for returning. I haven't taken any sick days this year, but I have taken several days off for funerals because our Cooper family's been hit pretty hard with the COVID this year. It's my hope the esteemed board will weigh the need to give all of us the time for the desire that the one for us to get the vaccinations for those of that need them and want them. By the sounds of things, the end of February or March 1st will give us that time that we need to get, hopefully for all the adults in the building, to get what we need or as close to it as we can. And I absolutely feel the pain that a lot of the parents are expressing. I mean, I live it every day in the classroom with the kids. I mean, it's a really tough situation, but they're amazing kids. They're resilient, and they're looking for hope right now. And I think there's hope in the air. In my more than 33 years of education, I still love what I do, and I really care about my students. And I've seen many things in my career. And at the end of the day, I really love my family too. I have two immunocompromised individuals that I want to take care of, and I really want to be there for them. And I want them to be there for me too. We made it this far, team. Let's make it back to school together. And we're this close. We're this close to making it. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I know the Wayne Westland board has done a great job so far, and they've really cared about all of our kids. And I know you're going to continue to do so. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for your comments. Justin, our next speaker, please.
Vivian Speakman.
Vivian, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
I believe I just did, if I have.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
All
did.
righty. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new school board members and Mr. Dignan. I had a chance actually to speak with him today, and he's hopefully going to give my input to what I spoke with him about. First of all, what I would think you should do is actually switch it down to 2 minutes so you can hear all of our parents and teachers, because it is going to take forever, like Mr. Neal said, and I can see he doesn't really want to be here all night long, and neither do the rest of us. I spoke to a teacher just a little while ago, and I brought up the conversation. I guess and I said to her, I would like to know what our percentage is of how the kids are doing with their grades right now for the first semester, compared to what other districts are doing Edgenuity and virtually in the southeast part of the online schooling. If that could be looked into, that might give a nice thought as to if we want to go back in March, if March is a good choice to start back into, or just take the kids and go K to 6th grade, 8th grade, and then let the high schoolers, if they're well enough to continue virtually, because my son, I would really like to see him back like yesterday. I'm ready to wring his neck, in all honesty. He's not doing very well, but that's on him. He has some wonderful teachers, and I'm hoping he gets some better ones this coming semester. But now, honesty, I do not totally feel, as I said to Mr. Dignan, 50-50. We are not at a 100% ready in our area of the district, Southeast, Wayne, Washtenaw, area, to go back yet. Yes, it is hurting kids. Yes, it's hurting parents. Yes, I know that there's a lot of depression. And I think teachers have done a really good job from the ones that my son has had. But, I appreciate the fact that we have this meeting tonight. And I appreciate the fact that you took my time to hear me. And I don't think this vaccination is going to be 100% proof yet for the fact that our teachers are, yes, the ones that need to be protected. But yes, our kids need that education. But I think maybe we need to, someone needs to go back and kind of relay out the plan and see how far we're going to be come March, because I'm not sure we're quite ready to be there yet. That is all I have to say, and I appreciate you taking my time.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Justin, our next speaker, please.
Jess H.
Jess, you have 3 minutes. Please state your full name and remember to turn your microphone on.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Guys, my name is Jess Harless. I have a sophomore at John Glenn High School. She's an honor student, 4.0 her freshman year. I can tell you her sophomore year is not going to match that. And I believe the online learning is part of it. She's still going to be honor roll, don't get me wrong. But I speak on her behalf, as well as some other parents who couldn't make it tonight. It's a mental thing. In August, we told them we'll talk about it in October. In October, we told them we'd talk about it in December. And then in November, we said, sorry, let's talk about it at the beginning of the first semester. And we kept dangling the carrot. And it's a mental health thing. And for every parent whose kid is suffering from mental health because of this, welcome to my bus. You can't continue to dangle the carrot on the students. And for everyone who says we're not ready yet as a district, I challenge you with, why aren't we? We knew it was coming. You guys kept moving the goal line. Why aren't we ready? Because honestly, the vaccine, guys, is not a fix. It's not 100%. It might be 95%. And then you have to think about the people like myself who can't get the vaccine because we're allergic to ingredients that are in it. So you can't completely bank on that. And when you do your research on the vaccine, it doesn't change the fact that you still have to wear a mask. You still have to social distance even after you get it. So for those who want to get it, more power to you. If I could, I would. But what's the holdup? Why are we keeping our kids out? Honestly, I'd love to see them back 5 days a week, but I'll take 2 right now if that's all we're going to get. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, our next speaker.
Kelly Bootson.
Kelly, you have 3 minutes. Thank you. Please remember to unmute your microphone. Kelly, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name's Kelly Bootson. I'm a mom of 2. One is in Walker Winter. One was supposed to go to Franklin, but never got to start middle school. But it's just fine. We've adjusted because we had to. We lost out on 6 months of schooling. We started back virtually in September. And the fantastic teachers that my kids have had have caught them up where they need to be. They're not failing. They're doing their best. As far as the district, all the work that you guys have done to get the kids laptops and be able to be in school virtually, why change it now? When y'all have worked so hard to make things work. We only have 5 months left of school and it's out for the summer. Let's just finish the rest of the year out virtually and get back into a routine of being in person in school in the fall. Thank you for listening to all of our voices and be safe and take all of our opinions into consideration during this pandemic. This makes me really sad and scared.
Yeah.
Because I
Us too.
had a heart attack in May. So my immune system is compromised. So I'm afraid my kids are gonna go back to school and something's gonna happen and they're gonna bring it home to me. And then they're gonna be without a mom. That's what's on my mind.
Yeah. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate your kind words too.
Thank you for listening.
Next speaker, Justin.
Pastor Terry Thomas.
Pastor Thomas, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you for your time. What I'd like to say is our church, when the pandemic hit, the first thing that I did is I realized that it was an unsafe place for everyone at that time. And so what we started to do was we live streamed our service with a shrunken staff, obviously. But here we are 9 months later, and All the members still want to come back to church, but we won't. I won't let them because of the simple fact that wisdom has kept everyone alive. I thank the Lord that no one at our church has passed. However, on the other side, my grandson was a failing student in Florida. And so I told his mother, let him come up here and I'll do all I can. And he's a middle school student at Stevenson. And he went from a failing student to an AB honor roll student. And now for the last 9 months with, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Edgenuity, he has struggled. He was failing. I got in touch with the teachers, and one of the teachers said, thank you, Mr. Thomas, because most of the parents don't even get involved with what's going on because of how difficult it is for them as well. And so I asked the teacher, I said, what do we have to do? And the teacher said, well, he's going to have to spend more time. And so he spent probably on average 2 more hours a day on Edgenuity and I just looked at his grades, he just squeaked by. And so here's my suggestion. Everybody does not want their children to come back, and I really don't want him to go back. However, I think that should be the individual's choice and that you should give the people the option. Obviously, you also need to take into consideration busing. I don't have no suggestions. But I did ask the teacher, and I switched him back over to Stevenson because I asked about the hybrid. And I like that because the one thing that God created that was not good is when he saw Adam didn't have companionship. As human beings, we're not designed to be by ourselves. And I'm okay with my wife because she can relate to me. But here's my grandson. He can't relate to anybody because there's nobody there his age. And so I said, what are you going to do if they come to class? They said they're going to wear masks. They're going to have 2 days out of the week. They're going to respect social distancing, which is what this country has done anyway. And for those who do it, it has awarded us so many benefits. That's why as many people haven't died because of mask wearing and social distancing and proper hygiene. So I said to Ron, if I let you go back to school, what are you going to do? He said, Papa, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to wear gloves. I'm going to do what I need to do because I'm afraid of the coronavirus as well. So for my 2 cents, I think that you should give the people an option on whether or not they want their children to come. And then that might be the solution, but that's just my 2 cents. I don't know the answer to everything. I do want to know one thing. We all need to pray, and when God is involved in it, it'll work a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you for that wisdom, Pastor. We appreciate it. Justin, next speaker, please.
Gil Lee.
Lee, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
What you found, Toronto?
I just want to ask the board to vote for March 1st proposal if the COVID numbers continue to spike and the scientific data states that it's not safe for our community. I just wanted to say something on a positive note that I do have a son with difficulties that he had at John Glenn. He's an 11th grade student who attends John Glenn and William D. Ford. I want to especially thank all the staff. He is doing very well this year, better than past years. So I just want to extend a thank you to the principals, the counselors, the teachers, everyone there. I also want to state that I do have a granddaughter, and she attends Edison School, and Ms. Willick does a phenomenal job at keeping the kindergartners all of their attention and motivating the students and engaging them. I was a previous kindergarten teacher in the past, and I didn't want a virtual situation for my granddaughter. However, I'm glad that she's here and she's alive and she's not sick or worse, deceased like some other students. I'm so proud of the way that all of the educators in Wayne Westland have pulled together to support the kids. Lastly, I just want to thank the board and Superintendent Dignan and vote for March 1st for the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words. Justin, next speaker.
Crystal J.
Crystal, you have 3 minutes, and please remember to unmute your microphone.
Yes, I'm a Westland parent of 3 children that attend Hamilton Elementary. I also work in the medical field. I test prisoners as well at MDLC. The numbers are rising. The virus is mutating. We are vaccinating as well, staff members. I would like to just vote for the March date, just to see how everything does with the vaccination. Some of our staff members have opted to take the vaccination and they're not doing so well with it. And some are opting not to take it. My children, a couple of them are allergic to the flu vaccination, so I'm going to opt not to take it. I've spoken with you all before regarding my thoughts, so I'm not going to go over everything again as a medical professional. In regards to that, I just wanted to say again, we should probably wait and see how things go. Sounds like we really don't have a remedy for the busing for the children just yet. I think, again, just wait and see how things go. Like I said, the virus is mutating. It's not as deadly, but it is more contagious. So that's what we're finding right now. And that's just my thoughts. I just think you guys are doing an amazing job. I want to give a nice shout out to all the Hamilton teachers. They're doing an amazing job with the students. They are actually communicating with the parents very well with Dojo. I sent you guys a link for Michigan Alliance for Families for parents with special needs that need help with IEPs and everything. They work very well with families. For children that have autism, the ABA therapy is a wonderful job. They go to your home and work with the family. So I just wanted to save that little piece and thank you all and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for your comments. And yes, we do remember receiving that information from you. Next speaker, Justin.
Teresa Mason.
Teresa, you have 3
Good
minutes.
evening,
Please.
Board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. I just thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have 2 freshmen, both attending John Glenn. As you already know, the end of the 8th grade school year was a total wash. With them being freshmen, they are not doing very well, emotionally or educational wise. Their retention to grasp the information, maneuver through the courses, log in on time, complete their homework, it's just gone down the drain. Unfortunately, I'm concerned about both of them being retained in the 9th grade. I don't know if the school district is going to offer an opportunity for summer school in lieu of COVID or some sort of revision for online schooling during the summer. I just don't want them retained. One child is completely uninterested, has lost their motivation. The other one doesn't know up from down with everything that's going on. So my vote is to at least allow them the opportunity to attend school twice a week to get them into the flow. Technically, they're still 8th graders. Educationally, if that's such a word, as well as emotionally. So they need the extra time in school. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this evening.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your comments. Justin, our next speaker, please.
Dan Norris.
Dan, you have 3 minutes. Thank you. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. First, I would like to say thank you to all of you guys for allowing me to speak. And I also wanted to say thank you to all of the teachers in the district who have been doing an amazing job. I myself have 5 kids in Wayne Westland schools. 2 of them are in John Glenn High School. 2 of them are in Franklin Middle School. And another one just started kindergarten at Hoover Elementary. So I have a lot invested into this district and into our children's education here. I myself am a worker at Amazon. And one of the terms that I absolutely hated at the start of it, but I've kind of grasped is essential worker. And I'm 100% behind the idea that education in this country in general is one of the most essential things that can happen. While some of my children are actually doing pretty well with the social distance learning that we're doing, a couple of them are actually falling behind significantly. We've noticed that they require that one-on-one time with the teacher to be able to really in person understand some of these concepts that they're learning. And it just doesn't happen through a computer screen. I'm 100% behind the idea that there needs to be methods in place, procedures to keep people safe. At Amazon, we have tons that have been implemented. And I feel like somebody said something about being in the 21st century. I feel like that's something that we do. It's not the easy way out through computers, but instead through finding and solving the problems that are presented to us through things such as social distancing within the classrooms, alternating days. Countries in Europe have opened their schools through tons of these procedures, alternating days, things like that. Japan, Germany, Singapore, China have opened their schools with no increase in cases due to making sure that these things are in place. So I'm personally voting for either the February or the March dates, just to make sure that everything is soundly put in place, but I feel like it's needed. Stanford University, New York University, a bunch of these places have done mental health studies on the children. Kids' depression increase, suicide rates increase, substance abuse increase, and a lot of these people are seeing these things linked directly to the isolation of being kept at home, not being able to interact with friends or go to school and have that time away from the house. And I really think that just for our kids' sake, we need to get them back in schools and having those opportunities for them. And for the people that do have the immunocompromised issues, things like that, I wholeheartedly agree that there should be some sort of an option given for them to have in-person or in-home learning still available to them. But again, I feel like that's part of that solution finding that we need to be doing as a country, as a district ourselves here in Wayne Westland.
Thank you for your comments, Dan. It's appreciated. Justin, next speaker, please.
Debbie Canellis.
Ms. Canellis, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I have a high school student and we have discussed it, his dad and I, along with him about what would be the best interest. And we choose the hybrid model. His father and I have been back to work since May. There are precautions in place. If the students, particularly the high schoolers, are explained enough that it's their responsibility to clean their workstation, which would be their desk, and to wear their mask, it will be a safe environment for them. The vaccine is not 100% across the board. And if we don't go back to school, we might as well hold our kids back another year because they're not learning. I went from an honor roll student to a barely passing student. I know there are parents that would like the online option. There are options for that. Edgenuity may not be what they want it to be, but that is an option for their household. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Justin?
We have Sharon Duhart Smith.
Ms. Smith, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Okay, hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to say I have a sister who was an RN, and in March, she and her husband, who's an educator, not in this district, but he's an educator, both of them came down with COVID. She was on a ventilator for 16 days, then had to follow up with rehab, a total of like 45 days. She has, so I do know the seriousness of the COVID virus. It is very serious. But I also know, oh, first of all, I'm sorry. I have a son who's an 11th grader at John Glenn, and the virtual education is not suiting him best. I believe face-to-face learning is better for most students, and I do know it's best for him. However, I wanted to know how the school would deal with if a teacher or a staff member or a student were contracting, had contracted COVID, would the quarantine be required? And if so, how do we keep that from being a domino effect? How would that be handled? Are there any case studies of other schools and how they handle that?
I believe that Mr. Dignan might present information relative to that during his presentation following these comments.
Okay,
He
so,
has a lot of information to share with us.
okay, that's awesome. I think face-to-face is best. My sister received the vaccine and she has returned to work. She hasn't been to work since March, but she just recently returned to work last week. And she knows how dangerous it is because she has a compromised immune system, but she also knows how important it is, and her husband as well, for face-to-face learning. And with this vaccination, maybe people can get it, those who do want it. And I think March 1st will give people the opportunity to get a vaccination if they do so choose. And I'm for face-to-face school learning. So I like March 1st date.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate that. And we're grateful that your sister's back to work.
Thank you.
Justin, next speaker, please.
Chanel Top.
Good evening. I have a student. This is the first year that she's in middle school. So she missed her 5th grade clap out. She missed her first experience going into the 6th grade, but my baby is safe and she alive. I work at a juvenile residential treatment facility. I work with foster care children that live there. And one of the scariest times was recently when one of my clients, she's a child, she passed out. We found out she had COVID shortly after it ravaged through my agency. One of my coworkers died. I've had coworkers that were hospitalized. I had 2 of my other clients that tested positive. Luckily for them, they were asymptomatic, so they didn't have a lot of the issues. But I'm saying that to say, you never know how it's going to affect you. And this is difficult on everybody. I've had to work the entire time. I have had days where I was crying going into work. I was scared that I was going to bring it back to my child. And I can't imagine if she was in school and let's say I came home and I didn't know I had got affected because the positive status didn't come out yet for youth. Now I send my child to school. The teachers are affected. And I know it's uncomfortable and I know it's hard and it's been hard for me, but we got to keep everybody safe. And I think if we do move forward, I'm approving to stay fully online. And if we do have to go to school, I think we should wait till March and see how the trends are and make sure all protocols are in place for safety, for cleanliness, because you cannot rely on the kids to keep those masks on at all times, because I've seen it firsthand. I'm working with multiple children that live at my facility. So I'm just terrified for the teachers at this point. It's a safety thing more so than social. And it's unfortunate, but at least our kids are alive and healthy.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, Justin.
Amy Gamble.
Ms. Gamble, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on.
Hi, I'm Amy Gamble. I have had children in the district since 2006. I currently have a student at John Glenn and Stevenson. I know that virtual learning is not for everyone and that is not without its issues. I feel for those families that are struggling with it. One of my kids is doing well and the other not so well. My kids want to go back, but they also understand the reasons why it is not safe. I see it from both sides as I am a teacher in a neighboring district. I invested in education. While this year is not like those in the past, it is not a wash. We are in the midst of a pandemic. We need to get kids and teachers back in school when it is safe. I support waiting until March for our children to return to school if I had to choose one of the options on the table. Although they say that most kids are asymptomatic, I have great concern that kids will bring it home to their families or bring it to school and infect staff. My family and I have limited our activities for the last 10 months. We haven't done this to put our family at risk. The COVID vaccine just became available today for teachers, but it may take a while for them to get them. The district should wait until Wayne Wesleyan staff that want to get the vaccine can do so. There's already a shortage of substitute teachers. God forbid any teacher or staff contract COVID. Wayne County is currently at a level D risk level. Numbers are rising again and the virus is starting to change. I have been told that if I want my own children to stay virtual, I can go through the online platform, but I do not support this. I support Wayne Wesleyan teachers and want my children to be taught by Wayne Wesleyan teachers. I support sending our kids back when we can guarantee a safe working environment for our teachers and staff and a safe learning environment for our kids. I do feel like the district should remain virtual for the remainder of the school year. Routines are in place. Why interrupt what has been put in place to start over to end up returning to online? However, if that is not an option, I do support sending them back in March if everything is in place and we can guarantee that safe environment for our staff and for our students. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, Justin.
Andrew Bassam.
What?
Mr. Hassan, you have 3 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you guys for hearing my comments. I went to Wayne Wesleyan schools for K through 12. My son is currently in Walker Winter. I appreciate the steps that Mr. Chris and Mrs. Breeze have taken to make sure that children are learning what they can. And the biggest thing goes out to my wife, who works 70 hours a week and still takes care of my son during the school day every single day and stays up till 4 in the morning working. Some of us haven't had the ability to stay home and be that point of contact for our children. A lot of people are struggling. We all take a risk when we leave the house in the morning, but we leave. We go about our days, and over 99% of us come home. To have a vaccine that's 95% effective for a virus with more than a 99% survival rate, none of it makes sense. These kids should be in school. We are hurting their mental stability. And this country was founded during a smallpox epidemic, and we're keeping these kids out of school for almost a year for something that's no more deadlier than the flu. It doesn't make sense. And regardless of anything that anybody here is saying tonight with their trials and tribulations and their issues, you board members have already made your decision. So I don't need 3 minutes. Let's just be done with this. Let's do the vote and get it over with. Because my vote would be to go into a time machine and go back to November and put my kid back in school, because he is struggling socially, mentally, being stuck in a house 7 days a week. Doesn't make sense. Put the kids back in school, period.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Justin, next speaker, please.
Abram Burrows.
Burrows, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone. Do we have that speaker up, Justin?
Yes.
Perhaps we can go to the next one and come back to Mr. Burrows.
Adam, first name only.
Adam, you're recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name and remember to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Name's Adam Askren. Grew up in Wayne Wesleyan schools. I actually had John Albert as my principal in high school. Our son attends Edison Elementary. He's in kindergarten with Miss Jennings, and he is doing awesome. He really is. The whole school itself is doing excellent at, keeping everybody together. The school district itself is doing really good. I know every situation is different, with other kids with their learning disabilities and, having issues keeping attention during class and everything else. I totally understand it. I know everybody's situation's different. I respect that. For us, what would be best is if our son continued to do the virtual learning. And if they do decide to go back, not to do Ingenuity, because I've heard nothing but horror stories about it. Just give us an option to keep the teacher that he has and, still do online. I know not all teachers want to go back, and I know all teachers don't, not all the teachers want to stay home either. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Justin, next speaker, please.
Mrs. Pack.
Mrs. Pack, please state your name. You have 3 minutes. Remember to unmute your microphone.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to thank you for giving me the floor and the opportunity to say something. I have 2 kids that go to Edison. One is in kindergarten, one is in the 2nd grade. I will say that
Just talked about.
it has been very challenging for my children. I also just had a baby recently. So I have to vote to say for the kids to stay going to school virtually, just because we really do not know how kids will be protected in the school system, nor the teachers. This pandemic is really serious. I work for the airline industry. People are traveling with the COVID-19, knowing that they have it. People are dying on planes with COVID-19. So it's no guarantee that we'll be able to keep our children safe in the schools. I'm not sure what the district have in place as far as when the kids do go back to school. I'm interested to see what's the safety precautions as far as seating and how they're going to be social distance in the classroom. Because I just really want my kids to stay going virtually. I will say my kids are suffering, but I find different channels, different avenues to help them better learn. I pull all my family in. I have them reading with them 1 day a week for 30 minutes a day. I come up with different ways to keep my kids sane and keep myself sane. I work midnights. I still have to be up with my children every day for homeschool. So I feel like as parents, we also have to, come together and figure out what works best for our household. So I will vote for virtual learning. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you.
I'd like to many people are waiting to speak, but the administrator can tell that those people are currently running old versions of the Zoom platform, and the old version of the Zoom platform will not allow them to speak during this meeting. So if they were recognized, we can't hear you. You would have to download or update your Zoom platform and then be able to come through. So with that, we'll move on. Justin?
Heather Weinkoff.
Heather, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone. Heather? Heather Weinkoff, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
Wait, I'm on your mute. Can you hear? I'm sorry.
I think we have someone there. Heather, is that you?
Yep, turn that off.
Okay, you have 3 minutes. Please begin.
Hi, my name's Heather Weinkoff. I have 2 students. My daughter is a Brooklyn Queen. She's in 10th grade at John Glenn, and my son is at Roosevelt McGrath. He's in kindergarten. I also have a stepson, but he lives mostly with his mom, so he's in Shiawassee County. After winter break, Shiawassee County went back, but what they did was they wore the sure you've seen people wearing the plastic masks over their face like a shield. That's how they have it set up. I'm not sure of everything they have set up. I just was told by him, they have social distancing, things like that. I do vote for the kids to go back to school. Obviously, safety comes first for everyone, though. So, I mean, my daughter is 4, is against, she wants to do virtual online, and she's doing really well. But another parent said something similar. She will be online. The high schools, they don't have to show their faces on video as like the kindergartners do. So she will be playing video games or something like that. And I'll have to stop her so that she's, fully paying attention to her teachers. And then my son, he's doing really well also online, virtually. Miss Daly is really good with him and all of her students, and his other teachers are really good as well. Um, and I'm really proud of Wayne Westland for how they've handled it. I was just giving a suggestion of how to maybe, maybe the mask guards and the distancing would maybe help a little bit more in some way. As like I said, Shiawassee County, they did go back and they're doing everything and they've been back since after break. But my vote would be to go back to school just because my son, mostly in kindergarten, he barely got to experience preschool. He was on the wait list for Stoudemire. He got in October and then was only there till March. So he just feels like mentally he doesn't have friends, things like that. And he doesn't want to sit in front of the computer. I mean, it's a fight every morning, but they both are doing really well. But yeah, my vote would be to go back as soon as everybody feels that it's safe enough. And that's all I really wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Justin, next speaker.
Kayet, first name only.
Kayet, you have 3 minutes. Please state your full name and remember to turn your microphone on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just thought I would give a different perspective than what I've heard. My full name is Kaya Tolu. I'm a junior that attends John Glenn High School. And I've been on here and I've heard many different perspectives. I can't speak on those students that have mental disabilities, but I can speak on my own experiences. And I would just like to say that I do appreciate the teachers and their flexibility. I believe that some students have the option to take initiative, and a lot of them do, but a lot of them don't necessarily take the extra help that some of the teachers give. So I believe that some of that, not necessarily blame, but responsibility falls on some of the students. And I would like to say that even if we go back into school in January, I don't think that teachers can necessarily enforce the mask wearing. I believe that even when I'm walking through the hallways with like hoods and do-rags, the teachers can't really enforce students necessarily taking them off. And I don't see them really seeing if the masks are covering the nose, if the students are all wearing it properly. So that's another risk that students and teachers take while attending school. And I do believe that I know many students that attend parties, and while I'm staying home social distancing, I can't say the same for them. So they're putting others at risk when they come to school and not thinking about others around them. So I do believe that you can't really control what the other students do. So it's kind of unfair for myself to be put at risk and my dad, who is very high risk, to be put at risk just because those students aren't taking the necessary actions to protect others around them. And lastly, I know other people are waiting. I would just like to say that with the mental health, just for the students and the other people listening, I have suffered myself. And I would just like to say that sometimes external factors do help them. So maybe not seek help within the school, but outside factors might help. So thank you for letting me talk and say my perspective.
Thank you for your comments. Justin, next speaker, please.
Adrian McCain.
Adrian, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
Yep, I am unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so I heard everyone's comment, and I have a 11th grader who is at John Glenn High School. She expressed that things are going well for her, but she could do better with being in school, with having a little bit more help from her teachers versus when she also, she is a VOTEC student that doesn't get the opportunity to have the hands-on experience like she wants to, like others do. Mind you, I am a John Glenn alumni myself, and I know that this whole COVID situation is really bad. I am a Wayne County employee who works in mental health. So I have a lot of students that attend the Wayne Westland School District that I provide a service for. And yes, parents are tired of the kids being home. Yes, they don't understand what the kids are learning, neither do I. You know, they don't understand the computer part of it. You know, the whole trying to get the technology and get the computers to work and all of the above. But a lot of people are sick from this. I have a couple of parents that I provide service for that didn't even give me the courtesy to tell me that they had COVID. And when I found out that they had COVID, it was through Child Protective Services. So how do you know that kids will come back to school, parents will send kids to school in the right direction? Meaning that if you take their temperature, these children did not have a temperature. They did not have any of the symptoms that COVID states that you would have or exhibit. So therefore, you know, the parent just said, hey, you know, they have COVID, and that was it. And I found out through someone else. The father also that lives in a home that has COVID has went back to work and works at a Happy Pizza that is in your local area. So before you guys make the decision to send the kids back to school, I know a lot of parents are saying that, hey, you know, they need to get back to work, but there are a lot of resources that I provide through our mental health agency, which is located right on Wayne Road, between Joy Road and Cowan, that we give out all kind of resources that show you how to obtain money to be able to meet the income need. There's also unemployment. I know that they may not stretch to help you with your bills, but there are tons of resources that are out there that will be able to support these parents. But right now with this whole COVID, I think that parents need to take a look at everything that's going on. I've had a lot of deaths of family and friends as well. Some are back and are in good shape from the COVID, but then they contracted it again for the second time. So just take that in consideration when you're making the decision for young babies and your seniors that live in the home with you, and a person like me that has asthma that can't take a chance of my child coming home, bringing something back and not knowing where it came from, who it came from, and who do I sue, or who do I be upset with if someone passes away in my family? Would it be the school district? Would it be the parents that are on here now that are saying, send the kids back to school? You know, it's just not good. So that's my comment to you guys.
Will you share the name of your organization with us?
I work for Hegera Health. That's Hegira Health. And I provide a lot of services to students at the Wayne Westland School Districts dealing with the IEPs and all of the above, their behaviors and all of that. So I know what they're going through because it's challenging, and the parents usually have that break in between there to send them to school. But you know, this is a bad thing that the COVID happened, but also it's a good thing that it happened. So that way it teaches parents how to get to know your child, how to understand what the child is learning, how to understand this technology. And like I said, I can't relate to what all parents are going through, but for my child is only one that I can speak for, and the children that I provide service for, of how hectic it is. But you know, this COVID is no joke, and it's taking people out of here, and they're suffering because of this. And just going back into the school system is not going to make it any better to wear a mask for 8 hours, and you still can contract it by being less than 6 feet social distance with students.
Well, thank you for your comments, and also thank you for your offer of help.
Mr.
Justin, next
President, if
speaker,
I
please.
may,
Mr.
can
Neal?
I get there for a minute? We have over 1,100 people monitoring the meeting. And as people speak and their hands go down, more hands are going up. It looks like we have at least another hour and a half worth of potential
Because they want to snap back
comments.
in.
And I would like to put forward a motion again that we stop the comments at this time. I think we've heard a wide array of opinions on all sides of the issue, from students, staff, parents, and everyone. And I think got the idea, and we probably could move on and listen to the presentation from Mr. Dignan. That's my motion to end comments at this time.
Thank you. At the 2-hour mark, Mr. Neal has made a motion that we suspend citizens' comments on agenda items at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Buckaloo. Is there discussion?
Only that I think it's important that our community knows that we wanted to hear their voices. And I know that we all received probably in excess of 100 emails, and not including private messages from people that reached out to us as well. I think we have enough information now to move forward on. That's my opinion.
Okay, I am also, is there other discussion? I have something I'd like to say, but is there other discussion from members of the board on this motion? Mr. Dignan has quite a lot of information to share with us. And my concern at this point is that the meeting is going to go so long that we're going to lose people who have to get ready for work tomorrow and do other things. They're not going to hear the presentation that Mr. Dignan has for us. So I'm going to be supporting that motion. Is there further discussion? Roll call vote, Mr. Neal.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Miss May? Your microphone's still on. There you go.
Sorry, no.
No. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Myself also yes. And President Cox?
I vote yes.
6 yea, 1 nay.
Okay, motion passes. We're going to move to the 730.20 presentation on the Return to Learn plan. Mr. Dignan.
Thank you, President Cox. I'm gonna shut off my video so I can share the screen to the members of the board.
If we have other members who have their microphone turned off, please mute your microphone in preparation for this presentation.
Again, I want to thank the community. As Mr. Albrecht talked about, the number, the gamut of communication that we all received. I'm very grateful for. I think it shows how much the school community cares about the safety and the support of the school district, our staff, students, and everyone involved. The one thing I'm going to say is that this presentation is about 30 slides. I try to reflect the various and variables that we received from a lot of the communication. So again, it's going to be talking about a lot of different things. The thing I would ask is that people that want more detail on our Return to Learn webpage, we have links to videos. We have our plans there that are detailed that can get into some more specifics. So I would suggest everyone kind of cue in there. There's a lot of good information. The other thing too, just hearing about the mental health needs before I get started, we are going to send some documentation and a letter home tomorrow that lists all our resources. We have a lot of partnerships that offer telehealth at this time, and I think it's important that people are made aware of those. So with no further ado, I'm going to start getting in the presentation. First thing, and I can't read all this because I have the screen there, but one of the things that I want people to understand is that during these challenging times and circumstances evolve, they change frequently. And again, we've had to adjust our practices and procedures to kind of reflect these since last March. And when we do return to in-person learning, I just want to remind people that, again, it's going to be different than it was prior to March 13th of last year. As you know, we've been working closely, and I'll get into more detail, with the Wayne County Health Department in conjunction with Wayne RESA to monitor local COVID-19 data, cases, positivity rates, as well as community spread, not just in Wayne Westland, but other communities that surround us, as well as developing the strategies necessary for our schools. Again, we're watching the community cases closely. And again, we get guidance every week from the Wayne County Health Department. These are just some things that we received guidance. In June of last year, they came out with the state came out with the Return to Learn plan. You can find that on our website. And then right when we started in the fall, they kind of pivoted to what was called the Extended Continuity Learning Plan. That also can be found on our website. But my point being is throughout the fall, we've had different impacts and different kind of legislation and things and even rulings that have impacted our plans and the way that we kind of govern our schools. Even the CDC in November came out with measures that kind of changed the definition of close contacts. So again, the other thing that I do want to point out that I think is very, very important is that prior to Thanksgiving, we had a lot of small group learning. I'll get in greater detail, but we will be returning that regardless of what the board decision is, just so people know. And part of the reason behind that, we had to pause because of what the governor said prior to right around the Thanksgiving time. Some of the guidance, I've shared this before, school safety is a community effort. We know that in-person classes are the best way for our kids to learn and benefit students' social, emotional, academic growth. And we're doing all we can to open up our school buildings for in-person learning when it's safe. However, we can only control the mitigation measures and safety measures in place in our school buildings. We rely on the whole school community to work together to prevent the spread. We encourage everybody to have frequent conversations with their children about COVID-19 safety, including wearing face masks, which I've heard during the questions quite a bit, when in close proximity with others, social distancing, practicing frequent hand washing, staying home when sick, and watching for potential symptoms of illness. Again, our criteria has never wavered. It's always been about health and safety of our students, staff, and families, both physically and emotionally, and also equity and accessibility to quality programming. That's why I brought up small group learning, because we know that that's important for a lot of our students, and they might not be able to get what they need in a remote capacity. So many of the decisions that have been made are both complex and multifaceted. The final recommendations are an imperfect solution to impossible situation, as you heard many people speak. But we're committed to the following best practices and implementing them to the benefit of all invested stakeholders. Some of the new guidance, the governor came out and had 2 press conferences last week. And again, one happened on Wednesday and the other on Friday. Some of the new, and again, the MDHHS stands for the Michigan Department of Human and Health Services. Some of the new guidance that they came out to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the infection control measures and the new guidelines, again, and these came out last week, is when feasible, assigning children to cohort groups and limiting their interactions to their cohorts to reduce the number of contacts. This is important, and one of the reasons, and I'll get in greater detail when we talk about the hybrid model, is I heard people talk about transportation. What a hybrid model allows you to do as a school district is cut down the number of students that come to school. So transportation, you have less kids on the bus, in the cafeteria, things of that nature. The other thing to keep in mind is that students and teachers and everyone involved are going to have to learn the routine and mechanics and the safety measures that we have in place, because school is going to be different than the last time they were there. Again, we will, the guidance talks about the 6 feet from one another to the extent feasible, and the creative use of school spaces to facilitate distancing. Again, we have hand sanitizing stations throughout all of our buildings. And again, we will reinforce proper hand washing techniques and also giving classes and buildings time to do that. You will see as the handbook comes out tomorrow, It will be building specific to each of our buildings here in Wayne Westland. Again, having staff and students conduct self-screenings for symptoms at home every day before going to school. Again, this is a community effort. If you're not feeling well, people need to stay at home. Again, ensuring school plans are in place in coordination with the local health departments if there are any positive COVID tests. And I'll talk about some of these measures in some of the future slides. And again, anybody that tests positive, we have to report that to the Michigan Department of Human and Health Services. For us, that's the Wayne County Health Department. On Wednesday, Governor Whitmer made a proclamation that state and MDHHS would start 1B vaccine distribution. I heard somebody on the call say they're not done with 1A. And again, the 1A category kind of includes medical professionals and first responders. Until the county gets through that stage, they can't move on to people that might fall in 1B, which are educators, people over 65 years old. Again, it's they're going to continue to vaccinate, but we haven't gotten yet, and I'm hoping to have this by the end of the week, just being transparent with everyone, kind of the date and the calendar when some of the staff here in Wayne Westland will have the opportunity to get the vaccine. Again, somebody alluded to this statistic as well. Right now, again, Wayne County is the most populous county in the state of Michigan. They're receiving less than 1,000 vaccine doses, and they're trying to shoot to the maximum, which is about 4,875 vaccines. So again, I think it helps to put in perspective the challenge the county is going to have in getting vaccines to school staff. I wanted to talk about dashboard criteria and just some quick notes. The district COVID-19 dashboard, we're going to release that this week. It's something that we've been following for some time. It gives us a local level monitoring. We have state level monitoring, state dashboard, and CDC information and data on this site. I do want to talk about some of the metrics. The one thing that we have been tracking is both the positive test rate, infection rate, and right before the winter break, we were testing the ICU rates of hospitals. Again, people are correct. The positivity rate in the areas come down. Right before winter break, it was hovering up in the 15th percentile. It's come down to 11, but just to give you an idea, a lot of school districts in Wayne County, because it's individual by local districts, is using a 5% kind of threshold. I know some school districts in Washington County are using less than that, around 3%. But again, my point is that there are metrics that we're using. And again, we will share that with the public this week. The other thing that we do is we take the 7-day average and the 14-day average of the positivity rate, infection rates, to kind of get a gauge of where things are going. The other thing too is we are given information every Wednesday from the Wayne County Health Department that spells out the community rates within the community. So for example, in Westland, we get the community rate. It's not done by necessarily school families, it's done as a community. What's out there in the community, we get that data as well as data from surrounding communities. The next chart, and this is kind of the information that we are given by the Wayne County Health Department. Again, level E is the highest risk. Right now as a county, we're at risk level E. Much of the county is in the same situation. Wayne is at risk level D and Westland's at E. And again, this is a 15-day period that ended December 29th. Some of the other metrics, and again, you'll see this on the link that is going to be on our Return to Learn webpage. You can click on the link, and we use multiple data points that help us track the data. As you can see, the one that's a county dashboard for Wayne County, it tracks it by date. You can see it coming down here in regards to infection and positivity rates. But again, that's not including some of the aftermath of the holidays. So we'll see what that looks like in the next week. Our plan includes 11 mitigation strategies for reopening. And you can see our plan again on our webpage. It was approved by Wayne County Public Health Division, and they use a scoring methodology for the readiness for a safe return. We scored 100% at 6 feet social distancing. In regards to 4 to 6 feet, our score was 98.5. You needed a passing score at 80% or higher in order for your plans to be approved. So again, the Wayne County Health Department monitors compliance with our plans and also helps us with any potential outbreaks within our school or district. These are the CDC guidelines. So I heard people say, what happens if you have cases? This will be part 2 of the handbook that you get. Depending on where it happens in the district, we're required to call the Wayne County Health Department and kind of track the data within 24 hours of a positive case. Even though we've been remote, we've had cases, positive cases of COVID-19, as well as people that have had quarantine. So I'll share that data in a couple slides. The other thing is we're doing everything possible to keep our kids, students, and staff safe. We have a designated space that we're going to have for students experiencing symptoms of COVID-19. Every every building has identified that space. We are also, and I want to thank the board at this time for passing, we will have certified nurses in every single one of our buildings. And that's huge. So again, I want to say, regardless of when it's decided that we're going to come back to in-person learning, I want to thank the school board for taking those measures. Some of the communication of COVID-19 cases, our entire school community is notified on our webpage. Direct contacts, email first, school-wide notice will be emailed. Wayne County Health Department steps in. And again, we have to protect the privacy rights of other individuals. So we will never name anybody that might have contracted COVID-19. Again, our district and school cannot provide information that would identify the person to the general public. And again, I appreciate everybody's understanding on that. Now, this is on our webpage. These are cases and we track them every single day. So if you look at the bottom, the overall case totals, we've had 46 positive cases of COVID-19 and 159 people that have quarantined since we started school in September. Again, we've been remote, but we've had cases. So you can see in November how they started to kind of rise. That's when the spike, the governor intervened at that time. We ended up going in December the remote to give people the option. And again, we only had 1 positive case and 0 people had to quarantine. January's new, so I mean, again, that's just kind of launching it. The next factor is self-screening. Again, and I have to reiterate this to people, it takes the whole village to stop the mitigation and the spread of this. Ask your kid 3 simple questions to check for these symptoms. In the past 10 days, has the student tested positive for COVID-19? In the past 14 days, has the student come in close contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19? And does your children have any of the following symptoms? And again, these are cough, shortness of breath, fever, chills, muscle or body aches, vomiting, and loss of taste or smell. Again, these are things that we're doing. If we have visitors at the front of all of our buildings, we have these signs and the person asks the 3 questions before they're buzzed in. We have our secretaries kind of documented all this information. So we do have measures in place. Some of the district survey data, and again, this is from the staff. And part of the reason, again, I wanted to draw this data out because at our last board meeting on December 7th, I believe it was Mr. Neal brought up a good point. All the data was kind of consolidated, so we wanted to break it out. Through this chart, with the current situation, 65.6% of the teachers wanted to remain in a distant learning model, 20% a hybrid, and then 14% in person. This is important data for us because, again, it gives us different perspectives of where people are at. I just want to bring this up too, that one of the issues that we're facing with as a state, even before COVID-19, is that of being a shortage of subs. So I want people to keep that in mind as we move forward. This one is the parents, and I just want to say some of this data can be skewed because it was shared on Facebook. It wasn't kind of password or email protected. But again, from this, 44% of the close to 2,800 responses wanted to stay in distance learning, 23 in a hybrid, and then 32% at a in-person instruction, which is 5 days a week. For our students, we had close to 1,900 responses. 40% wanted to stay in distant learning, 30% wanted to be in hybrid, and then 29% wanted to be in person. Some of the plan that we had to use, whether it was our return to learn, which happened in July, or the extended continuity learning plan, is based upon us addressing all of these things. PPE, and again, we have enough, we've been stockpiling PPE throughout the time. And again, I want to credit Mr. Spizak and his operation and custodial team. They've done a phenomenal job. We have stations. We have everything that we need for the hygiene part of it. Spacing and movement, they've kind of laid out the different buildings and have made them with the plexiglass and some of the other measures that we have to have in place. Where traffic, one-way traffic and hallways, things of that nature. They've done a great job with that. Again, I can go through all these things. I've done this in future, or I've done this in past board meetings. And this information, you can find some videos of this on our Return to Learn webpage. One of the things that I heard constantly was face masks and the enforcement. Students are going to wear face masks. It's the law right now, and in our school, they will. One of the things I do want to point out on this slide is that with face shields, you can wear a face mask plus a face shield, but you can't just wear a face shield. So it has to be a mask. And again, we have these and can provide them at school if somebody forgets it or whatever. We have enough to do that. Some of the safety and cleaning protocols that are in place, and again, we have, if you look at our plans that are on our Return to Learn webpage, you can dig deeper and get more detail. But we will, every 4 hours, high-touch surfaces, light switches, door handles, doors, benches, bathrooms are going to be sanitized. This is going to happen around the clock to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that we can kind of mitigate any possible spread of COVID-19. Some of the cleaning protocols, cleaning and disinfecting routines, frequently touch surfaces. We have PPE and cleaning kits placed in each classroom. We have sanitizing stations throughout the schools, plexiglass shields in designated areas such as the main office, counseling, media centers, signage throughout our schools. Our HVAC systems are checked and change air every 6 to 9 times within an hour. We check these quarterly. And again, training on cleaning materials and protocols, we do it as well as anybody. And if you can see our training manuals, which are linked to our eco plans, you can really get into the detail and see how great a job the men and women that are custodians in this district do on a daily basis. Again, like I talked about with our HVAC systems, we have quarterly maintenance for all heating and cooling equipment. We have software that kind of tracks to tell us if there is an issue. The air in one typical classroom is turned over approximately 6 to 9 times per hour. So the return to learn in-person learning plan. Some of the timelines with option 1 is to return January 19th, and that would be pre-K through 12th grade, comes back in a hybrid model. Again, I just want to say with the hybrid model, it's a bridge because our ultimate goal is to get back when it is safe to full person instruction 5 days a week. That is our goal. I want to be perfectly clear with that. What a hybrid allows us to do is minimize the number of students. At some point in time, we're going to have to transition or ramp up to full traditional. The hybrid model allows us to do this, again, with the goal to get back 5 days a week. Option 2, which really would be February 22nd through March 26th, which is March 26th starts our spring break. February 22nd, it's the first day back from our midwinter break. One of the things that we ran into is we have a week-long midwinter break, and to start students before that, and again with the vaccination and a lot of other factors kind of played into our decision there, just because we didn't want the kids to start and then stop and start again. The third option is March 1st through March 26th, pre-K through 12th grade hybrid model, again, with the idea of moving towards a full traditional model when it's safe, based on the data, to see how things are going. Again, we have to teach our kids the mechanics and routines of coming back to school. I can't say this enough. School is going to be different than it was prior to March 13th, just because of some of the measures that are in place. And again, as soon as we can, and maybe in some areas, after a week or 2 or 3 weeks, it might be decided based on numbers such as pre-K or kindergarten, that the numbers warrant it, it's safe, that we could bring them back 5 days a week. Again, it's going to give us the ability to kind of see and monitor where things are at. Again, hybrid models, just a blend of distance learning environment and in-person learning with a Wayne Westland community classroom teacher. The hybrid model meets the planning goals in several important ways. Health and safety by bringing students back to school in smaller groups, gives us greater opportunities to social distance, reducing the interactions of a large group of students, especially when you start talking about high schools where you have a few thousand students. The other thing is too, with the transportation, I heard that come up quite a bit, just the seating on the bus and things of that nature. Again, the hybrid model allows the district to split the students into 2 cohorts, which minimizes in-person class sizes. Our operations and custodians have done a great job to label desks in some of our larger buildings by their cohort, whether it was A or B. So again, just some of the things that we've done to set this up, I think are going to be good measures. We can use a combination of in-person and distance learning. Students attend school 2 days a week. Everybody has 1 day of distance learning, and then we have 2 days of independent learning that'll take place. Going to the next slide, just the hybrid model itself, and I'm going to concentrate right here on cohort A. Let's say that they're in person learning at school Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, everybody would be virtual, so everybody's online like we presently are. Cohort A then on Thursday and Friday would do their independent learning from home. And again, depending on the age and level of the student, a lot of times, if you're talking about an elementary student, even though they're independent learning, the teacher will be checking in to make sure that they have their assignments and kind of get people organized to do the work. Again, this model here gives us a bridge to kind of ramp up to full traditional instruction, which is 5 days a week. Again, we've taken in consideration that there might be older siblings. We will set the cohorts by alphabet A through K, and then L through Z might be another cohort, but again, we are going to keep families together. If they're siblings, we're going to have them in the same cohort because we know that could be a challenge for a lot of families. So again, some of our data people that kind of oversee MyStar have been running reports. We're in a position to make sure we identify those families. So again, after this kind of presentation, buildings will be sending out information more specific to kind of communicate the Wednesday distant learning schedule. And again, all siblings, and I got to say this, will be in the same cohort with it. If that doesn't happen, please communicate with your individual buildings and we'll get that taken care of. Just some other considerations, students with special needs. Each student with special learning needs will have a review of the current IEP, CLP 504, a learning plan reviewed by the case manager and service providers in conjunction with the student's parents. We will be able to get back to small group learning, some of the things that we did in the fall prior to the Thanksgiving timeframe. We're going to get back to those things. We will also have groups like that, programs at the William D. Ford that might go out and be able to do some small group learning type activities. Again, should the review indicate that changes need to be made to a student's plan, staff will amend or hold a new plan meeting so as soon as possible, not to exceed 45 school days from the date of review. So again, we want to make sure that our kids are getting what they need. Students with plans with placements into categorical programs will attend possibly both A and B cohorts. So I want people to understand that. And this could include early childhood programs, cross-categorical, ELCI, EI, again, POHI. We want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our kids and can provide them the best that we can right now, at the same time keeping everyone safe. Tomorrow, you will receive communication on a building-specific parent handbook that'll be launched for families. We will have videos over the next 2 weeks on our protocols and processes of how you get on the bus, how you arrive to school. And again, these will be coming out in great detail. If you go to our Return to Learn webpage, you'll see some videos that get into more depth. And if you start clicking on our plans, you can click on links that we have on there that'll give you all the detail that you need. Again, buildings will notify families which cohort their child is in and will communicate the Wednesday distant learning schedule. So again, that could be a little bit different, but really we're following the bell schedules of every building that we've followed. So again, that information will come out to everyone tomorrow. All siblings will be placed in the same cohort and cohorts will have similar numbers. Students will attend school during normal school hours on their in-person learning day. Real quick, talking about Ingenuity, which is our online option. Following the Return to Learn plan decisions, family may feel the need to reevaluate their students' educational needs, and we're committed to every student's success. So again, we wanted to provide flexibility to our families. All applications must be completed by Wednesday, January 13th, because we start the new semester January 19th. And this gives us a chance to make sure that our master schedules are in place, balanced, and leveled. So again, the applications are available on the district website under the Wayne Westland Online Learning Program tab. So if you go to the Wayne Westland Community School website, you can find the information there. Again, all students transferring to and from online learning will be transferred on January 19th, which starts the beginning of second semester. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present. And again, I just wanted to open the floor at this time if the board has questions.
Back, are there questions from members of the Board of Education? think that indicates what a great job that you did explaining all that, Superintendent Dignan. Of course, we've had the opportunity to review this information for some time. So at this time, the administration is looking for direction from the board. The first recommended motion resolves that the board approve the return to learn plan for students to return in a hybrid model on January 19th. Is there a motion on this plan? I'm going to ask one more time. Is there a motion on this plan? With no motion, resolution dies. The second motion resolves that the board approve the return to learn plan for students to return in a hybrid model on February 22nd, 2021. Is there a motion on the plan to return on February 22nd? Is there a motion to return on February?
moved.
Moved by Dr. Weaver. Is there support? Is there support?
Support from Mark Neal.
Motion by Weaver, support by Neal. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mr. Neal.
Let me go ahead and add, at least if no one else wants to speak to it. Actually, my real preference would be to return to 5 days soon. But I realized going to return to school on the 19th is a little too quick based on the date that we're handling this. But certainly, I think we're easily able to accomplish this by February 22nd. I'm one who believes that we should go back to 5 days a week as soon as we possibly can. If we can start the return to learn plan on February 22nd with the idea that we move as quickly as possible to 5 days a week, so much the better. I don't believe in the idea that somehow we're going to make a perfectly safe environment all of a sudden appear so that we can return to school and everyone have everything perfectly safe. I think that Mr. Dignan and his staff have done everything they can to make a safe environment for our students and our staff. But the fact of the matter is, this virus is not going to go away. The fact of the matter is, I don't think that the vaccines are going to be delivered in time even for the March 1st date. But we do need to get back to school. It's time that we put the students back in school. As you can see, approximately 60% of the parents believe that the children need to return as soon as possible in some form, either 5 days a week or hybrid. I know the staff doesn't feel the same way, but I think with the preparations that Mr. Dignan has made along with his staff, that we can do it safely, and we'll find that we'll be able to move to 5 days a week soon after.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Is there further discussion? Roll call vote, please, on the motion to return on February 22nd. Mark, please call the roll.
Okay, Ms. May?
No.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
No.
Myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo?
No.
And President Cox?
No.
I have 3 yea, 4 nay.
The third option is resolved that the board approve the return to learn plan for students to return on March 1st, 2021. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Moved by Ms. Hines. Is there support? Support by Mr. Albrecht. Is there discussion?
Discussion. I would like to say I received hundreds of emails with the staff concerning
the importance of waiting to see if they have the opportunity to get the vaccine, and two, they need enough time to switch everything over. So that was one concern as well. I definitely would like the children to go back, but we have to make sure that we are making sure our teachers are prepared and that it's not too much for our students. Eventually, you know, we will be able to start the hybrid to get back, but right now we need the time to make sure that we can successfully finish off this virtual learning until the numbers come down, because they still have those three they found a new one from Japan, they found another variant from UK and Africa that's more contagious. So I do understand that the virus is not going away for a while, but we still have to make sure that we keep our staff and students safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Mr. Albrecht?
Yeah, I was going to say that I support both the second and the third one, and I like the second one simply because it's like a first day back to school. I want everybody to understand, I have great confidence in our educators to meet this challenge. There's no doubt in my mind. I know many of them. I trust them. I know they have some consternation regarding coming back, but they'll step up and they'll do what we need them to do. I know our families will too. And of course, my experience is when you establish expectations, children will meet them. I have a 5-year-old grandson that started school in September. He's had a mask on, hasn't missed a day, he has his mask on all the time, does what he's supposed to do. I'm sure our students will do the same.
Is there further discussion?
I'd just like to add that, as we've heard tonight, everybody's all over the map on what they want to see happen. Everyone's all over the map on the reasons for what they want. I'm left with one choice now, and that is to support the return to school in some form. So I will support this motion. But when it comes time to speak at the end, I would like to say a little bit more in that regard. Thank you.
Is there further discussion, members of the board?
Mr. President?
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes, I too am going to support option 3. I have some concerns about it as well. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just received an email that the University of Michigan Health Center has suspended all vaccinations through Plan B. That could very well be a precursor for the rest of the county, for Wayne County, moving forward. I don't know if we're going to get these vaccinations in a timely fashion, but from a very practical point of view, not a question of whether kids ought to be back or should be back or would benefit from being back, but just simply from a very practical point of view, if we find ourselves in a situation where we have a small number of staff who need to quarantine, not necessarily test positive, but simply need to quarantine, we're going to find ourselves in a very serious, precarious situation with respect to obtaining an adequate number of substitute teachers. This has been a problem since well before this pandemic hit us, and it certainly hasn't gotten any better since the pandemic has struck. So with some reluctance, because I'm afraid it's too much too soon, I will support option 3.
Yes.
Is there further discussion? I find myself in complete agreement with Mr. Neal, and yet I voted against the way he voted. And as Mr. Buckaloo said, there's no question that these kids need to be in class in front of a teacher. Everybody knows that. There are 10,000 of those students and 1,750 teachers. We have a direct impact on almost 12,000 people and an indirect impact on everybody in their families. And this is still a moving target. During this meeting, we received the email that 1B is being canceled by U of M. How do we hand our superintendent this mission to hit a moving target when we don't even know what next week and the week after is going to look like? As a practical matter, kids can come back to school in classrooms, as Mr. Buckaloo said, with no teachers. Because whatever your belief is about COVID and its reality, or whether or not the numbers have been inflated by hospitals attempting to get on the money bandwagon, whatever your feeling is, we have spent almost a year being indoctrinated in every way that this is a deadly thing and people are going to die. And we're asking teachers to come back in the middle of this. Now, I'm going to tell the teachers, I've received all the emails, but this job is remarkable because when you get an email from somebody, it is from a teacher, it's the most well-written, properly punctuated and structured letter. They're a pleasure to read, and they're all correct, no matter what their opinion is. The decision belongs to this board. And some people are going to be happy and some people aren't, and I'm prepared to make the decision. I like Mark, I want to come back sooner. I wanted to already be back, but I'm one person and I've got to think of those 12,000. So that's why is there anyone else like to make a comment at this point?
I would like to, please. Can you hear me?
Ms. May?
Okay, thank you. So as many of my fellow board members, I am going to vote for option 3. My concerns, I'll start by saying first and foremost that I too believe that the kids need to be back in school. We all know that the best learning takes place in front of their classroom teacher. Absolutely, there's no question about that. However, we also know the importance of consistency. And so as Mr. Buckaloo shared, having the current sub shortage and knowing that if we have 2 teachers, 3 teachers, 4 teachers in a building that need to quarantine or more, we could potentially have the kids back out of school. And that's not going to help the learning at all, to bring them in and then have to take them back out. So like everyone else, I'm hopeful that our teachers are able to get the vaccine. This is still iffy, but that is what I'm hoping for, and that we're able to bring our kids back March 1st, and we're able to begin to walk the process to begin to get back to some sort of normalcy for our kids. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Ms. May. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Neal, please call the roll.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
President Cox?
I vote yes.
7 yea.
There's your marching orders, Mr. Dignan. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah,
Next
thank you,
item on
guys.
our agenda 731.20 are citizens' comments on non-agenda items. This is the portion of the meeting reserved so that citizens can address the board on anything at all. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board? Mr. Monette?
Yes, we do have some hands up.
Okay.
Marilyn Edwards is first on the list.
Ms. Edwards, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone. Let's go to the next one, Justin.
Tim H.
Tim, please state your name and you have 3 minutes. Remember to unmute your microphone. Let's go to the next one, Justin.
I believe Marilyn Edwards popped in as I was pulling her back out.
That's fine.
So let me give her the ability to talk one more time.
Wow.
Hello. I'm glad you voted the way that you did. I am a hospital worker, and believe me, the hospitals are not overrated on the numbers. It's scary out there, and I've worked since this whole thing. So I'm so glad that you thought about everybody.
Does that conclude your comments, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And let me remind everybody, this is the portion of citizens' comments on items which did not appear on tonight's agenda. We appreciate your remarks, but this is on items that do not appear on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on non-agenda items?
Tim H.
Tim, will you please state your full name? You have 3 minutes. Perhaps Tim's running old Zoom platforms. Let's go on to the next one, Justin.
Claudia, first name only.
Hi, Claudia, will you please state your full name? You have 3 minutes, and please remember to unmute your microphone. Justin, were those hands up before we ended this? Are those people that were lingering from before?
No, these were all people that came in when the vote was happening. I cleared out all the hands after the first round of citizens' comments.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that you clear it out again. And people,
Sure.
if you want to talk at this point, just put your hand right back up and we'll get to you. We want to clear out those people that are have moved on. Next person, please.
Carlin Pitts.
Carlin, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your mic.
Hey, how's it going, you guys? My name is Carlin.
Lost him.
We can hear you. Hello?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
The question that I have is, how are we going to be 100% sure that everybody's doing their part in this? Meaning, if we go back to school for 2 days, you know what I mean? With people who have parents who are high risk of catching the virus, how are we 100% sure that not necessarily teachers, all the way from students to admin to janitors to everybody, how do we know that everybody's gonna do their job correctly and to the point to where it's done to the best of their ability? Does that make sense?
Well, if you're asking me to confirm for you that everything's going to be great, I'm not going to be able to do that. I
Oh
have
no, no. I'm not at all. But what I am saying is that I feel as if going back 5 days. Okay, and another question that I had is, what is option 3? That's what I wasn't understanding.
Okay, that information, I want you to understand, this is a point for you to discuss items which did not appear on tonight's agenda. That item did appear on tonight's agenda, and the time to speak on that was before the vote. Now, if you're asking me questions, I'm not going to be able to answer them tonight, but this information you've just asked is available on our Return to Learn program, which is on our website. And Mr. Dignan has just gone through all of that. And if you replay his presentation, I'm sure you will get many of the answers. And if you don't, contact the administration office and they will make sure you get the answers you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next speaker, Justin.
Demetria, first name only.
Demetria, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Please state your full name.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Demetria Ledbetter. I actually spoke on the last time. I have 3 students that's in Wayne Westland. So my question is there any way to take in consideration that y'all offer still for the children to do online through Wayne Westland? Because switching them to the Edgenuity program after they've been doing half of the year with the Wayne Westland would be like setting the kids up for failure. They teach on different plateaus. They're on a different level than what they're on learning through Wayne Westland. So it wouldn't make sense to switch them to Edgenuity right now. So for parents like myself that don't want to send my kids back at all, can y'all come up with some type of other option for the children to still remain online instead of going to Edgenuity? Because to me, like I said, that's going to set them up for failure. Because I was even told at the beginning of the year, if they don't sign up at the beginning of the year, they'll be completely lost going into the second semester because they teach on different levels.
Yes, that Mr. Dignan went through that very issue in his presentation. I invite you to contact the administration office tomorrow and you can get that information again.
Well,
the answer to your question is yes, that exists.
Okay, because all I heard him say was about just signing up for Edgenuity.
Like I said, I'm trying to be helpful by violating our policy a little bit by talking to you because these are kind of extraordinary times. But what I'm saying to you is that the information that you are asking me about is available to you by calling the administration office tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Justin, next speaker.
Chelsea Davis.
Ms. Davis, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, so I'm wondering, since the kids are not going back, how am I supposed to go about getting my son's IEP ready or started, because they haven't been wanting to start it since they're not in school?
Does that conclude your comments? I mean, is that your only
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to invite you to call the administration office tomorrow, and you will get the information that you need.
I've been in contact with them since this all started back last March, and
Okay.
I have never gotten an answer.
Okay, well, I think if you call tomorrow and ask that question, someone will give you an answer. I'm not saying you'll be happy with it, but you'll get an answer. That you're
Okay.
not going to tonight at the board meeting. This isn't really the forum for this. Next speaker, Justin.
Mrs. Pack.
Well, Mrs. Pack, you have 3 minutes. Please state your full name.
Jasmine Pack is my full name. My question was, because I don't think Mr. Dignan presented this in his presentation. My question was, okay, you're gonna have the different kids go back to school by the letter A, B, but to detail how many kids will be in the classroom. If kids like 35 or 30 kids in the classroom, how are we gonna maintain social distancing? Just by putting names on the desk, you didn't really go into detail about the plan for that.
Does that conclude your comments, ma'am?
Yep.
As I said to the previous speaker, this is not the forum for answering questions. This is the forum for you to make a statement to address the board as a whole. If you have questions for the administration, which this question is, and it was covered in the presentation, call the administration tomorrow and they'll go over that information with you. Okay, next speaker, Justin.
It's only listed as Galaxy S8 active.
Yep,
Excuse
okay.
me.
Galaxy, whomever that is, you're welcome to address the board. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name. Have you got your microphone turned on?
It is turned off. I asked them to unmute it.
Okay. Give them a moment to do that. They might not know how to do that right away. They did try to get in at the first portion, as I recall.
Yep.
Galaxy, if you can hear me, you need to unmute your microphone. Can we give that person an opportunity to do that and go on to the next speaker?
Sure. Pamela, first name only.
Pamela, you've recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name.
Hello.
Pamela? Hello, is this Pamela?
I believe this is Galaxy S8.
Yeah.
Okay, Galaxy, will you please state your full name?
Christine Pucciarelli.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. I just wanted to know exactly with everything that's going on. I understand that now you guys are going to March 1st. I know this might be off of the topic, but my daughter started this year, 6th grade, going from 1 teacher to 6 teachers. And it's very hard for her to do this with 6 classes. And it's, my thing is, you know, the socialism, the friends, the this, she's losing all of that. It's very hard for her. I don't want to see her fail.
No, ma'am, we don't want to see her fail either. And as Mr. Dignan said, this is any direction we go into is an imperfect solution to an impossible problem. But I will tell you this, if you communicate your feelings to members of the administration, we will endeavor to help you through this and to make this a positive experience for your child. We all want that. Give them an opportunity to work with you on it. And I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, but we'll try.
Okay.
Good
It's
luck.
very hard.
Yes, we all know, all of us. We know. Next
Okay,
speaker.
thank you.
You're welcome. Next speaker, Justin.
Mr. Cox, I'm going to go back to Pamela. I believe she unmuted herself when our last guest began.
Okay, Pamela, say your full name, please. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Pamela. I am so sorry. I did not realize I've been trying to get out. My hand just keeps raising up on this for some reason. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. You didn't have to tell us that. Well, it was nice to talk to you. Next speaker, Justin.
How about Parker? First name only.
Hello, Parker. State your full name, please. We have you have 3 minutes. Let's try someone else, Justin.
Sure. Whitney James.
Whitney James, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to unmute your microphone.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. First of all, I just wanted to say I wanted to thank the board. It is not easy to make the decisions that you guys have to make. So I want to say I am glad I'm not in your shoes. You literally hold the lives of 12,000 people in your hand, and that is not an easy burden to bear. So I just wanted to say a thank you in that I greatly appreciate what you guys are doing. I have a quick question. I don't know if this should be more so directed towards the individual school or if this is a question that you guys can answer for me, but I was just curious. Eventually we will be back in school. I'm aware of that. Will there be after school activities such as like the Bright Futures? Will Champions still be in play? Will all those after school things still be happening, or have we not got that far in the process yet?
Well, this, as you say, this really is not the forum for the answering of questions. But if you were to look at Mr. Dignan while you were asking that, you would have seen that his head was shaking up and down. But I think that if you contact the administration, you will get more concrete answers, and be mindful that a lot of what we're doing right now is in motion. But that is our desire, all of us. We want to get back to a normal school experience for the social reasons and the education reasons. It's
Okay.
important that it's important to them. Frankly, this might not be the part to say this, but you know, it's important for the educators too. This is their chosen profession. They want to get in there and make an impact in the lives of these students. And they know this isn't the ideal situation. Everybody wants to get back in this boat.
Right. I agree. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're certainly welcome. Justin, next speaker.
Michelle, first name only.
Hello, Michelle. You're recognized for 3 minutes. Please state your full name and remember to unmute your microphone.
I believe I'm unmuted. I wanted to thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate all of you. I want to let you know my kids have had a positive educated learning experience on virtual. I have a daughter in 11th grade. She has 2 classes that are for college courses. She's doing fantastic, all A's. I have a 12-year-old that went from the end of 6th grade with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. She is doing fantastic. I want to support what you guys are doing and support your teachers. And I want this to be positive, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Very kind of you to say so. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Justin. You're welcome. Next speaker, Justin.
Crystal J.
Hello, Christine. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, yes, I spoke earlier. I was speaking pretty fast. I just wanted to touch base about Autism Home Support. That's the company I also work for as an applied behavioral therapist. That is services for the parents that are home with children right now that may need some extra help and support for, let's say, if their children are struggling with the virtual learning and they have some services that they may need help with autism or any other behavioral therapies. If you guys need that extra information, I can email that to you. I also work as a nurse. I have 2 jobs. I also work as a nurse. So I started doing the behavioral therapy as well. So I just wanted to get that information out there to you guys. I'm going to email that to the board so that they can provide those extra that information to the parents so that if they need, they can reach out and they will match them with a therapist for the children that can help them with the special needs. And if the parents would like, and they're okay with it, the therapists do come to the home and they will help your children with whatever needs your services that you need. That was all.
Appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Next speaker, Justin.
Parker, first name only.
Hello, Parker. Will you please state your full name? You have 3 minutes.
Parker is unmuted.
Parker, you have 3 minutes. The board is recognizing you to speak. Parker's a mime. Let's go to the next one.
Only labeled as IMAC DSL.
Okay, IMAC, please state your full name and you have 3 minutes.
I can't even believe I got through. Yeah, this is Mark Crowder. I have a student at Wildwood, a 3rd grader. And just listening through this whole thing, I wanted to say that I'm really amazed at how we we talk down to some of the families. You know, I know they come through as aggressive and, you know, they're kind of misunderstood, but you talking down to them really does not make the situation any better. And then suggesting that we call in tomorrow to receive the same answer is ludicrous. So I just wanted to, I guess, put that through and have a great night.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Justin.
Dawn Parker.
Oh, Dawn, you have 3 minutes. Dawn, have you unmuted your microphone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you now.
Good evening, thank you. This has nothing to do with the corona. I just wanted to bring something to the board's attention. I have an 8th grade student at Stevenson that took the extra math test and placed to take advanced geometry with the 9th graders at John Glenn. Every year at John Glenn, there has been an advanced geometry class first hour, so those 8th grade students have the opportunity to bus over. This year, that option wasn't available. So my advanced math student, they created a class of 1 for her and threw her in with the regular geometry first hour. So I just don't want this to happen to anybody else's student next year. I have been calling, I've been in contact with Kelly Reinick. I've been in contact with Ms. Doman. I've been in contact with April. Again, in previous years, you guys have always offered advanced geometry for those Stevenson students that need to bust over. This year, you guys didn't offer advanced geometry first hour. It's 5th and 6th hour. So my daughter, who took all the tests to place into this high math class, is now in a regular geometry class. I would just like the board or somebody to look into it. Hi, Mrs. Curry, nice to see you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Parker, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. Okay, Justin, next speaker.
Charles Griffin.
Mr. Griffin, you're recognized for 3 minutes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I would like to recognize and congratulate the new board members tonight. Melanie Hines for being reelected, and Kimberly May and John Albrecht. I've listened to almost all the meetings tonight, and it was a tough decision. And you're never going to be all right or all wrong on this, but the board has to do what they think is in the best interest of the community, and I believe that's your responsibility, and you did a great job as far as I'm concerned. So welcome to the Wayne Westland Community School Board, and I wish you all the best. Good night.
Thank you, former school board member, past mayor, past council president, Charles Griffin. Appreciate your call in. Next speaker, Justin.
I have two people left, Mr. Cox, and they're both running the older version of Zoom, and I
Yeah.
can't bring them through to talk to you. So I'd wondered if maybe you wanted to express to them that they could communicate by email or something, because I have no way to communicate with them.
If you're listening to this presentation, what Justin is telling you, and if someone's got their mic on, could you please turn it off? Because we've got some background noise from a radio or something. Thank you. What Justin is saying is the platform of Zoom that you're running on your computer or tablet is old. It needs to be updated. And as a consequence, we can't hear you. So if you have a question or you have a comment that you'd like the board to hear, please direct it through the website where you have an option to email us or call the school district tomorrow, and they will make certain that we get that information back to you. We're sorry that you didn't have the opportunity to speak tonight.
I do have one additional hand.
Okay, and that person is whom?
Dottie Leonard.
Dottie Leonard, you have 3 minutes.
So my question is for Mr. Dingman. My question is, on your display that you put out, you talked about everything but skipped over the busing situation. Is there a reason why the busing situation was excluded from talking about it?
Well, as you know, this is not an opportunity for you to ask questions and get responses. This is the portion of the meeting where you have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to the Board of Education. Now, I recall Mr. Dignan did mention the busing situation and that we were
It
going
was
to
on the paper, but it wasn't spoke about. He
Okay.
skipped right over when he was reading the paper.
Okay, I might have been confused about, I thought I did hear him say some things. I do remember him saying that because of the way the screen was, he couldn't see all the words in the very presentation he was giving. But in any event, you could get a better answer on this by contacting the administration.
Contacting the board tomorrow.
Yeah, or the next day, whenever it's convenient for you. The point is that this portion of the meeting is not a question and answer time. You can best get your answers by contacting the administration and just trying to help you facilitate an answer as quickly as possible. And that is the way to go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, next speaker.
Adriana Schwaller.
Adriana, you have 3 minutes. Please remember to turn your microphone on. Adriana? Is there another speaker?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you now.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to say, I'm not going to ask a question. I just wanted to mention something during the presentation. I did hear Mr. Dignan say something about the HVAC systems and all of that. Maybe I missed the part about the wings of schools that do not have air conditioning. And I just hope that something's going to be done to address those wings and classrooms, because when it's 80 plus degrees outside, the airflow in those classrooms, even with fans, it can get so hot and so humid and already so hard for the kids to breathe without masks and to focus on learning. So I'm worried about the kids in those classrooms when we're in May into June and it's hot outside. So I just hope there's going to be a plan to address that. And that's really all I had to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next commenter, Justin.
Aside from the 3 that I can't bring in, we have no more hands up.
Okay, we're going to then move to the next item on the agenda, which is the review and recommendations of members of the Board of Education. And we are going to begin with our newly re-elected returning trustee, Ms. Melindy Hines. Ms. Hines?
That don't have the air, yeah. Well, they voted for you guys to go back March 1st.
You got that taken care of, Justin? Ms. Hines?
Yep, we're all set. Sorry about that.
Sorry. So I'd like to thank all of our newly elected board members. Mr. Albrecht, it's a pleasure working with you. You've done such a wonderful job for your career throughout Wayne Westland. I remember meeting you years ago when I was on the advisory committee when you guys were demolishing the school. So I'm really glad that I'm working with you. Ms. May, I really am so pleased to work with you and your knowledge that you have with government grants and funds and everything that you do over the Plymouth Canton Community Schools. So it's going to be awesome working with you guys. You guys both together bring in really good experience. So it's going to be an awesome new year. I also like to thank everyone who wrote me regarding the Return to Learn plan. I am so sorry I could not get back to everyone. It was hundreds and hundreds of emails. I did want to let everyone know that I am a parent of a high school student. And on top of that, I am an essential worker. So I do understand the frustrations of one, wanting our kids to go back and my son wanting to go back. But at the same time, you know, it's been very difficult because, you know, with me being a diabetic as well, I am concerned about those, you know, coming home to me as well. With my husband passing, my son will be an orphan. So it's a lot of different things, you know, I take both perspectives. So I do understand both sides. Even as a student, one thing I am glad to have a student. I talked to him, you know, I know this virtual thing has been very difficult for my child. He's also complained about, you know, having a lot of work, you know, sometimes like a lot of the parents have said the kids have lost interest and it's very difficult, social emotional. My son has been in the house since March. So it is, like you said, not natural to not be able to socialize with your friends. So I definitely understand everything what's going on. Maybe we can even do some type of parent support group since we're working through this together, because it is pretty frustrating. And it's great to know that I have other people, you know, like Mr. Dignan, Miss May, we have kids, so we can kind of shoot, you know, feelers out. Hey, how do you feel about this? Or how do you feel about this? I did talk to Mr. Dignan over the weekend because I do like to ask questions before I make very difficult decisions. And one question I did have a concern with, because I have a lot of parents reaching out to me as, you know, their students, not everybody is good for online learning. And how hard would the grading be? Because what I'm concerned about is we had the senior class of 2020 and 2021. What I don't want to happen are their grades negatively affecting them when they want to go to college. So maybe it might be some type of discussion. Maybe, you know, if the kids that have the great, you know, grades A, want to keep those for their, you know, for like when they go to college, or maybe a pass or fail, something with the grading system, because this is brand new. So, you know, hopefully that can be something we can discuss. I also wanted to let people know Mr. Dignan has done a wonderful job at working with the county, the state, you know, keeping us up to date with facts, because I do like to look at the numbers. And again, we do represent 6 communities. We have Wayne, Westland, Romulus, Dearborn Heights, Canton, and Inkster. And a lot of those cities, but Westland, we have really high numbers. You know, there's a lot of deaths, and even Dearborn, we just lost the mayor. I lost a really good friend of mine, Mr. Benny Napoleon. I've lost family members, friends, and I've been really sick, and I'm still sick. I don't know what it is, but you know, this COVID is really dangerous. So I'd like to thank all the teachers that wrote me. I'd like to thank all the parents that called me. I'd like to thank the students that allowed me to be able to discuss and let me see how they were feeling about this. I also was able to talk to one of our head custodians, and he assured me about, you know, the busing situation. He's telling me how they have like this mist that they're going to go clean, how clean the schools are, and our janitorial services, Mr. Spizak, has been the best I've ever seen. You guys keep those schools immaculate. So even when we do go back to the hybrid, I am confident that you guys are going to do a great job of keeping our kids safe. So that's all I really want to talk about today. But thank you, all the parents who wrote us. And like I said, I do take this, you know, seriously. And I understand. I want my son to go back. He wants to go back. A lot of parents want to go back. But we just have to make sure it's safe, because they have all these variants. The virus keeps mutating. And we've lost 2 kids already this year from the Wayne Westland District, not due to COVID, but it really hurts me to lose a child. So I want to make sure that all of our families are safe. So thank you for allowing me to speak these couple of minutes, and you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Melody. Mr. Albrecht.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, congratulations, Melody, on being reelected, and Ms. May, you too, for being a top vote getter. And I also want to congratulate the officers of the board. I'm sure you will all lead us well. To all those people who are in contact with us tonight, thank you so much. for those of you that weren't able to get through, it's important that you know that we do want to hear from you. I urge you to use the email system. I read all of them. I apologize that I didn't respond to all. And finally, I think the thing, well, two things. One, I think if anything, we should learn that one size doesn't fit all. And probably we need 10,000 different sizes. That's how diverse and unique each of our students are. And last of all, I've never been in a bigger meeting. Almost 1,300 people. I've been in some big ones, but none bigger than this one. It was a good night. And thank you.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to have you here. Miss May?
Thank you. Same congratulations to Melody and to Mr. Albrecht. I am extremely excited to be a part of the Wayne Wesleyan community as a board member, so thank you. I also received several emails. I was able to read all of the emails, but I did not respond to every single email, but I read them and I took everything that was sent to me into consideration for tonight's decision. I'd also like to take a moment just to thank Mr. Superintendent Dignan for his detailed presentation, for addressing some concerns that even came to the table again tonight. As we move forward and bringing students back, and I know you talked in detail about supporting students with IEPs and students with 504s, I would love to see us take a look at the course failure rate to determine how we will support those students, as well as to talk a little about what the supports will look like when students return to academic supports and moving forward, because I heard that as a great concern in the comments and in emails from parents. With that, I'm just looking forward to, again, working for the citizens and for our students and for our staff. And so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. May, and thank you for taking on the responsibility of the Office of Treasurer. We're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Mr. Buckaloo.
Yes, thank you. It is a disadvantage not to go first, I can tell you that. But here are a couple of things. First of all, Ms. Hines, congratulations for being reelected to the board. Mr. Albrecht, I know Mr. Albrecht fairly well. I worked with him when he was a math teacher at Glenn, and for him when he became an assistant principal there. So it's going to be fun to renew that relationship. Ms. May, I look forward to getting to know you better and to working with you on the finance committee. I know you're going to do a bang up job for us there. Thank you. Mr. Dignan, folks, Mr. Dignan has a phrase that he throws around quite a bit. It's fluid situation. I don't know how many times he's tried to discuss with us the COVID situation, and that phrase, fluid situation, has come out. But it probably is the best possible phrase that he could have come up with to discuss the mass of information and changing information that's come from him, not only from the governor and the legislature, but from our Wayne County Health Department and from the Wayne County RESA. Things are in constant flux. We've been told that 1B is going to get the vaccination and that it starts today, but it doesn't look like it's going to start today. By the way, I think we've kind of, well, there's an old saying that you've crossed the Rubicon. We've done that tonight. We've gone back to a hybrid model with the understanding that within a couple of weeks, we're going to perhaps go back to a full face-to-face instruction model. It doesn't look like there's any turning back. We're committed to in-person instruction at this point. There are going to be some rough spots. There is no guarantee that someone isn't going to get sick or that we're not going to have to reevaluate whether we can keep a building open because we have a shortage of staff to man that facility. So it's going to be a difficult time. But if having a great staff and great leadership are the solution, then we'll certainly navigate through it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Neal.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. President. Like the others, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Albrecht and Melanie and Miss May for their election to the position they're in. Looking forward to continuing to work with Melanie and Mr. Albrecht, of course, and Miss May. Tonight has been an unusual meeting, a very, very large meeting. A lot of people hanging on, listening and wondering what we were going to do and what it meant for the future of their job or their family. And it is difficult. I will say, starting with talking about the media that surrounds us, that we've been inundated for more than a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with this discussion about COVID, how dangerous it is and how deadly it is. And they've done a good job convincing everyone that, you know, it's basically a death sentence if you get COVID. For some people, unfortunately, that is true. But if you really do look at the science and you really do look at the numbers, one of the things that you'll see is it's not as horrible as the media would lead us to believe. It's no wonder that we're so shy about going back to 5 days a week with everything we're surrounded with. But if you look at the state's figures, I mean, it's only 3 children who have succumbed to COVID, ages from 0 on up to 14 in our state last year. And yet we've shut down everything. Now, I would tell you up to 18, but they have the numbers are kind of jumbled in together in the next age group going up to 24. But my point is that we're not as threatened by COVID as we're led to believe. Yes, there are new variants that have come online. I've read John Hopkins' information on that. They said they're finding new virus strains weekly, but none of them are more dangerous than the one we're faced with, and all of them seems to respond to the same vaccine that they've come up with. So we're all hoping that the vaccine helps, but it's a simple math problem to see that not only is there a delay that's already been mentioned tonight, but even if we were able to line everybody up that needed the vaccine, it's going to take a while to get everybody done. I heard this morning on the radio that our local health officials say that if they converted all the COVID testing facilities to vaccination operations, they could do 17,000 vaccinations a week. Now, they can't get that many doses, but if they could get that many doses, they could do 17,000 a week. At that rate, it would take almost 5 years to do Detroit metro area, everybody. Now, that doesn't mean it'll take 5 years to do all our teachers and our first responders. My point is that we've heard a lot of comments, both through email and in person today, about how everyone's concerned about everybody, you know, their family at home, as they should be, their family at home, all the people they know. And I'm afraid that if we hang our hopes on the vaccine as being the door that allows us to open up and go back to school, that's just not going to come fast enough. I believe that we are as capable in Wayne Westland as many other school districts in our state that have gone back to the classroom. I think that we're as capable here in Michigan as many other states that have gone back. My grandchildren in Arizona are back to school. They're not experiencing any problems. And not to say that there are no problems anywhere. I'm just saying that this is a livable thing. This is something we can live with. We've had to live with these kinds of problems in the past. It wasn't that long ago that we had the H1N1 variant in 2009. There was 60 million Americans infected with that, and almost 600,000 people worldwide that died from it. But we didn't shut anything down. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have taken precautions this time. I'm just saying that we have to put it in the proper scale. And that is that our children are not threatened. I'm not saying that teachers might not be somewhat because they're in a different age group. I'm not saying that the family at home might not be somewhat, but it's still extremely small numbers. And we have to get back to the real life that we left a year ago. And that's going to be my theme. I mean, you'll hear me say it. I'm glad we're moving in that direction. After March 1st, shortly after, we should head in that direction where we have everybody back 5 days a week. And I'll be very happy when that happens. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Weaver.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to welcome back Ms. Hines and also Kimberly May and John Albrecht. John, I look forward to sparring with you every now and again and having laughs together. Mr. President, my comment tonight is that my heart went out to every parent, every grandparent that called. And I really appreciated them calling. But one thing I see is that we need to suspend our rules on a meeting when we have that many that want to speak and allow Superintendent Digdon to present before we do questions and comments. Either that or we need to go back to policy committee and up the ante on the minutes that we're willing to take. I'm concerned about this because it does offend our policy. And I just want to share that tonight, that I think we should somehow allow our superintendent to speak. And that may answer a lot of questions before we get to citizens' comments. I apologize for my speech. I'm in the middle of a dental implant session, so forgive that, but that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Appreciate your comments. I'd like to end this meeting by first talking about my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Tom Buckaloo, the finest of gentlemen, who has walked away from his role as treasurer of the Board of Education at his design. It was his will to do so. And I'd like you to know that he did so only after Ms. Shonda Cleaves cleaned up every nook and corner of our finances and presented books to our auditor, which provided us the cleanest audit that we have had for many years. And as grateful as we are to Ms. Cleaves, and we are, Mr. Buckaloo, you were right there every step of the way, and you left this room perfect. And if it wasn't for the fact that Kimberly May actually does this for a living, I would be a little concerned. But as it is, I feel as we've received a wonderful gift in these two new board members. To have two members of the Board of Education join us, having a foundational knowledge of all of the issues that they have of public education, far greater than anyone could expect a member of the board getting elected that would have. I know that I sat there on the stage and I watched John Albrecht say goodbye to the students who were graduating from John Glenn when he was serving as president, and every single student came up and hugged him and thanked him and shook his hand. And I could see right then the connection that he had with these kids. And I know he probably didn't need an office at John Glenn because he stood right in the hallway and talked to them as they walked back and forth to their classes. And I know how, and Kimberly, you'll forgive me, please, if I say this, but I know how you're regarded in the Plymouth Canton School District where you're employed. And we are just very fortunate to have you both and very grateful that you decided to take on the role of treasurer. So a great big welcome to you, and Melody, congratulations on your reelection. And I want to thank Superintendent Dignan and his team for putting together the videotaping of the swearing in ceremony so that everyone could enjoy that tonight. With all of the different moving parts, that was a remarkable and very thoughtful thing for you to do, sir. So thank you. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly share what Fred Weaver said about his heart going out to all of the parents and grandparents and the educators and everybody's opinion and position and feelings. Each of us shares all of them. But frankly, I was overwhelmed by the kind considerations that each speaker gave our teaching staff, members of the board, administrative people. There is just a great deal of community respect that I felt, and it was wonderful, and it was very building, and it was just a very special thing to hear person after person. It was humbling, and it was greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to tell the members of the Board of Education that I talked to the board secretary this afternoon, Mrs. Tamara Phoenix, and she mentioned something to me that I thought might be a great benefit to us all. At the end of the meeting, when we make our comments, she has to stop and start and stop and start a video in order to hear what we said so that she can put them in the minutes. And it dawns on me that many members of the board probably write out a draft of what they're going to say. If we could make a habit, not required, but if we could make a habit, if we have those words in the form that could be emailed to Tamara following the meeting or before the meeting, so that she can put an accurate minutes of our comments, that would be helpful to her. It would free up a lot of her time, and it would probably make certain that the things you wanted to say actually get made part of the minutes. I made a couple of notes, but deviated from them. I guess I'd like to say, as I look at these pages and I look at Jill and I look at Charlie, and I'm just so grateful for all of you and your dedication. And Mr. Dignan, in the words of Melody Hines, you are doing a great job. So thank you very much. And thank you to your team. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Mr. Albrecht, support by Ms. Hines. Is there any discussion? Mr. Neal, a roll call vote.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht,
Yes.
and President Cox.
I say yes, we are adjourned. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.